Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day. Cheers, sir.
Hey.
Crack one of these open.
Yeah.
So, are these your beers? You make your own beer?
We make our own beer. I don't
Dude.
actually make it, but
someone
someone
connected to you and your company makes it.
Exactly. It's called Made Here, and every part about the process is made in America.
I have your socks.
Yeah.
I have your underwear too, right?
Yeah. I left you some stuff.
So what else do you make?
Well, we started with socks and boxers.
sir.
Cheers. And then we decided we wanted to do consumables.
That's a good beer.
That's an IPA.
Yeah.
We have 3 different kinds.
That's very good.
Yeah. I don't know if you're an IPA guy, but
I love IPA.
Okay.
I'm not a beer snob. I like stouts. I like ales. I like beer.
yeah.
No, but I like IPA. I like the kind of bitterness to it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the Uncle Sam too. Look at that.
You like it? I've been fighting with my partner, to be honest, about it.
About Uncle Sam? You don't like it?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
It reminds me a little bit of government.
Ooh.
And I'm not super government-y.
Government-y?
Government-y.
That's what I would
If
say
that's a
too
thing.
if I knew zero about politics. I'm not like really
Yeah.
government-y.
I'm not really government-y. No, I fucking hate politics, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I'm not a fan.
I hate them, yeah. But you know what? I like the colors. I like the thing. I like what we stand for. It's our ethos. It's like we stand for every process along the way, celebrating the American worker, celebrating America, and we don't, it's just...
One thing that is weird is that Uncle Sam doesn't have a face, that he's in darkness. Like you can see the hat.
But he
and
could be
everything.
like anybody,
He seems
right?
like a demon. Like the Grinch.
The
Doesn't he?
government is kind of demony.
You know what I'm saying, Jamie? You see what it?
I like his tie. Like he just got off
The
work.
tie. Yeah, right. He got off
Yeah.
work.
It's Friday.
He's
Loosened
like,
up his
I'm here to
bow
party.
tie. He's here to party, but he's also a demon.
Yeah.
Like he's got like his hair and his face, and he looks like the Grinch. It could be
The
anything.
Grinch. Like you mean from the Christmas movie?
Yeah, like he's all like fuzzy. You know what I'm saying?
I never thought of him like the Grinch.
He
I
could
guess
be the
kind of.
Grinch.
Yeah.
But he's got no eyes. He's got no face.
Hey,
But you can see his hat. It's very confusing. There it is.
there it is.
Oh, he wiggles a little too. It's even weird. So he's like a dream.
How did you pull that up so fast?
Jamie's a wizard.
I got
a
a
wizard.
sweet. I got a .beer domain.
Yeah.
Made here .beer.
Do you know
Oh,
that?
no
do
shit.
you know that actually 90% of pretty much all beer we drink in the U.S. is either foreign owned or they use foreign ingredients?
What?
Yes, true story.
Really?
Yeah, I mean I didn't know any of this.
Sam
about it.
Adams?
Well, I can't speak for each beer, so I'm not gonna like start shitting on other beers.
All right, but Sam Adams is all about like made here, made in America.
Yeah, and there are so 10% of
10%.
yeah, but this one is 100%. So
It's very good.
yeah,
What are they? So it's hops, right? They use hops,
yeast,
and some
barley.
Some companies use rice, don't they?
I think so. Yeah, I mean like like a lot of Japanese beers
Yeah.
is rice.
Because some beers you could drink if you're on a keto diet. I think Heineken.
Really?
I think so.
That doesn't sound
Maybe
right.
it's just some keto asshole telling you that.
Yeah. Some guy. It's like,
I
really?
don't think Heineken is made with wheat.
Are you doing?
Oh, that's what it is. It's like gluten free. No, I'm not keto.
I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah, I mostly eat meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but lately I've been trying to cut. I weighed 208 the other day. It's the fattest I've ever been in my life.
Oh, wow.
I was like, Jesus Christ, because I've been dealing with this back thing that you saw that I hurt myself doing jiu-jitsu this morning.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with this to the point where I've been doing a lot of physical therapy. And over the last few weeks, I've been training pretty hard again because the back's been feeling good until this morning. But I got out of because I was just trying to let everything relax, but I did not get out of a food rhythm. My food rhythm went. When I work out hard, I eat whatever the fuck I want. But when I'm not working out hard and I eat whatever the fuck I want, I just start getting fat face. I start chipmunking up, and I see this starts getting fat, and then I start getting the above the dick fat. You know what I mean? You know
yeah,
that?
no one likes that.
Yeah, where I could like pinch, and I always get this fat here.
Yeah. But the other side of that is sometimes if you get too skinny, then you're like a little gaunt. And that
right.
doesn't look good
Yeah.
either.
It's probably better for you though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too skinny, but I like being lean. I like being healthy. I'm really at my best when I'm like 195. When 195 to 200, I'm okay. But when I get 205 to 208, and
Yeah.
I'm a glutton. I got a real problem.
Just like the
I
stuff. the
fucking
things.
eat, dude. I eat way too much. I have a real problem.
I do too.
I always over order. Like if I'm hungry and I get a cheeseburger, I'll get 2 cheeseburgers. Even if I don't want a cheese, even if 1 cheeseburger is enough, I order 2. And then I see that second one there, I just start eating it anyway. Even though I'm full. I just keep eating. It's terrible.
But if you go to like In-N-Out, then you get like 2 and you don't feel bad. You get them protein style.
Yes.
That's not bad.
That's a good move.
Yeah.
I heard In-N-Out out here is not as good.
I don't know.
Somebody told me it's not as good.
I feel like it's as good.
But that's a thing to say. Like people,
That's a California thing to say.
it's one of those Whataburger enthusiasts. They'll tell you, those fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Those Whataburger people are weird. It's like they're seeing life through a lens. Like, let me wear your glasses. Like, what do you see? What does the world look like to you? What color's the sky?
Well, I feel like those people. I don't know them exactly, or maybe I'm just not aware. I'm friends with them. They'd be the same people who like resist change.
Right.
You know, they'd be like,
Bro, I grew
In-N-Out
up on
here.
Whataburger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, for Austin, that's a thing right now. It's like everyone's like, oh, can you believe what Joe Rogan's doing to Austin?
Oh, they're so silly. I haven't done anything. I brought in a bunch of funny comedians and Elon Musk. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
He was coming. Elon was coming anyway. I didn't bring him.
No.
But
even he can't afford to live here now.
Five Guys Burgers, in my opinion, shits on all of them. You know why?
Ooh.
Bacon and jalapenos. We're done.
I like
They
it.
give you jalapenos.
I like Five Guys. It's
And
good.
bacon.
Yep.
And their fries are better.
Have
You can get fries with
have you slipped through
spices.
Pete Terry since you've been here?
I like Pete Terry's.
Pete Terry's pretty fucking
Pete
Pete
Terry's
Terry's
good.
pretty fucking good.
No one
Pretty
talks
fucking
about
good.
it very much.
My
It's only
family
here, though.
does.
It's only here.
My fucking kids talk about it every
really
day.
good.
They love Pete Terry's.
Really?
I'm a Pete Terry's fan. I like Pete Terry's, but Five Guys, in my opinion, is the fucking goat. That's the king.
Five Guys is good.
Guys.
They have good fries too.
They're better fries. Their fries. They have those spicy Cajun fries. What are they? Are they like Cajun or something?
I don't know if I've had those.
Five Guys fries.
I don't know. They should only have one size, or they give you so many.
Right.
The small is a
They
bag.
give you
full.
a bag of fries. They're preposterous, and you get free peanuts when you go to Five
Do you
Guys.
really?
Yeah, they give you bags of peanuts. They have peanuts everywhere. You could just go there and eat peanuts.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, the studio and this whole new thing is really cool. I like
Thank
it.
you.
It's
Thank
like
you very
a
much, man.
spaceship.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shout out to my boy Matt Alvarez, who's out in the hallway. You met Matt, who was making fun of his man bun.
Oh, that was the guy who did all this.
He built this. Yeah, he's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
He's a great guy, and he built those. And there's a shooting star that goes across the sky.
No.
Yeah. It'll go flying across like every 40 seconds or so. And then Ways to Well hired these Roadside Relics fellas. My friend Todd built this for me. Look at that. Isn't that dope?
That's pretty cool.
Can't turn my back very good.
Dude, I feel like I just gotta point this out because I feel like since the last time we spoke,
Yeah.
you have gone to the stratosphere of like call it whatever, podcasting, radio, being a entertaining host, and now all eyes are on what Joe Rogan says.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's wild.
You guys should be paying attention to other things.
I know.
I'm the same person.
Yeah.
You know? Well, you know what it is? It's like what's odd, I think, for them is that an independent person, like legitimately independent, who has a skeleton crew. I mean, my crew is I have a video guy, I have a booking guy, I have Powerful Jamie, and that's it. That's the whole crew.
Yep.
I mean, and then it reaches some preposterous number of human beings.
What does that feel like when they just use you as like clickbait?
It's not good. It doesn't feel good if I pay attention to it, but I don't pay attention to it.
Smart.
Yeah, I go, so what are you saying? Fauci's commenting on me? Why is he talking about me? What are you doing?
Wild.
Why don't you concentrate on gain of function research over there in Wuhan? Concentrate on what you may or may not have been involved in. I find it very odd because I'm doing the same thing that I've always done. I'll just have people on and talk shit.
Sure. I even saw like the other day, I mean, I was thinking about coming on your show and I was like, oh wow, this is crazy because he's the center of the stratosphere, it seems like what people are talking about. And I was like, I saw something about Prince Harry
Prince Harry
commenting
went
on
on
you.
me.
I was like,
Prince Harry, guess what? You're in my act now. Whoops.
I was like, that's a kind of a dumb move for him to say anything.
Well, Prince
I was
Harry's
like,
a silly fella. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to be Prince Harry. I would want to be someone who is famous for being a part of a royal family. So you're literally famous for no reason. You're famous through. It's not you're famous for your perspective or your work or something you've created. You're just literally famous because you're attached to a monarchy, and you're literally attached to one of the strangest situations where people are worshiping the ancestors of people who suppressed their ancestors.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad people, the royal family in England. I'm not saying they're bad people, but
Yeah.
if you go back in time, you'll find some bad people who did some horrible shit. I mean, that's what Robin Hood's all about, right?
And that's why we got out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why America
Yeah.
is America.
Well, my family came from Italy and Ireland, but yeah.
But
Yeah, they got out.
But I'm saying that's why this country, we broke away from them. We're
Yeah.
like, screw you guys. We're not listening to some people over here telling us what
Exactly.
to do.
Well, even over there, they gave up on them. They're just sort of a figurehead,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's weird that like thinking the whole royal thing is a weird thing. Like any elitist thing is a weird,
Yeah,
like, hey, we're better than, or we're this just because
exactly.
of a bloodline or something.
Well, that's
you know?
what the thing that people have the hardest time about with celebrities, and I agree with them. It's like, why does someone, like, that's what I think about myself. Like, why does my opinion matter more? Because more people are paying attention to it? Like, I don't think my opinion matters more. If you have an opinion and your opinion differs from mine, if you and I were having a conversation at a restaurant or a bar, I would listen to you. I don't think my opinion matters more because more people listen. But that's what celebrity is. Celebrity is, there's a lot of people out there that voice their opinion and legitimately believe that more people should listen to them because they have 12 million Instagram followers, or because they're famous, or because they have a Grammy Award winning album, or they won an Oscar. It's nonsense. We are all individual human beings, irregardless of your connection to any racial group or ethnic group or social group or sexual gender group, whatever it is, political group, whatever it is, or geographic group. We're just humans. And the weird thing about celebrities is they're just humans, but they're humans that get a disproportionate amount of attention. And I think you could probably relate to that because you're not just a movie star, you're the son of one of the greatest movie stars the world has ever known, which has got to be fucking bizarro world. And you kind of look a lot like him. Like, I was watching Wrath of Man last night. First of all, it's weird watching people you're friends with who are movie stars. So I'm like, oh, hey, Scott.
All my friends say
I'm
this,
like,
by the way.
But I've gone elk hunting with you.
Yeah.
You and I shared elk hunting camp,
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you were the first guy to kill. You were the first guy to get an elk out of the whole group.
Do what I can, bro.
It was amazing. I love that. I love because you and I did that podcast with Cam Haynes, greatest bow hunter ever.
Yep.
Right, and we're hanging out with him, and then all of a sudden we're in camp with him, and you're the guy who comes home first with an elk. It was amazing. It's pretty dope. But like, I know you as a human being, so to see you in a movie is like odd. But I'm kind of used to it. I'm kind of used to knowing people that are like
seeing him on the thing.
Yeah, like Post Malone's in that movie.
Yeah.
And I texted him. I said, I just saw you get whacked in a Guy Ritchie movie, LOL. And it's like, it's odd. It's odd. The whole celebrity thing is odd. But I always used to wonder, why are celebrities always friends with celebrities? I always used to wonder that. Like, they're always hanging around together and going to parties together. But now I understand it. It's like they don't feel like anybody else can understand them.
Well, I used to hear this funny thing all the time, and I guess it makes sense. You fuck who you're closest to. I mean, not that like, you're fucking every celebrity, but you're just, I think, by nature, you're around them. So because you're in movies with them, or you have to do press or the thing, and so.
I had a conversation with a woman about this once, where she was saying, we were talking about Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt, who had gotten divorced from Angelina Jolie, and I said, I think he should just marry a waitress, just marry like a normal person. And this is the conversation. It went like something in the, I don't remember. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember it completely clearly, but it was somewhere in the lines of that would be a disproportionate, like it was something along the lines of the power in the relationship would be disproportionately towards Brad Pitt.
Maybe, maybe not. What if
You know what I got from
she's
that?
a badass?
You know what I got from that? That lady really wanted to fuck Brad Pitt too. And
She
and
definitely did.
she's like, no.
She was like, "Oh no, he's got to be with me."
But it was this thing where like there was something wrong with Brad Pitt dating a waitress. Like that if Brad Pitt,
That's crazy.
but
That's
you know what I'm
crazy
saying?
talk, yeah.
But like that he being this very wealthy, famous guy, it would be a bad thing if he was involved. You know, so like he should stick to his own humans.
That's crazy.
It was a weird conversation. I mean, she wasn't. I'm gonna be like, she wasn't being rude about it. It was just like, I think that's a disproportionate sort of power dynamic. That was kind of how she was putting it, and maybe it was just a flippant reaction. She hadn't really thought about it clearly, but I was like, you think so? Maybe. But I was like, maybe you should just date a normal.
No, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. I mean, his life is so abnormal. You counterbalance that out with someone who's like grounded, and not that he's not grounded, but someone who's got to, just be in it every day, and there might be something amazing there.
Yeah, maybe. Depending on the character of the human that he gets involved with. I think he'd have to get involved with someone who understands how to work hard and struggle. Like someone who like a strong character. Someone who has like a strong will. Like someone who knows how to do things, get things done. Because some people are overwhelmed by anything difficult, and I think that's the way society has sort of set us up. Because if you look at like modern society, it's really easy to get food. It's really easy to get some kind of employment for most people. It's really easy to survive. Medicine is readily available. In
America.
Yeah, in America. Yeah,
in America.
Good point. Our society, right here in America. And this is just, relatively speaking, of course people can get very ill. Of course people can die. Of course people can be in poverty. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is comparatively, when you look at the rest of human history, it's really easy to survive today. So human beings are not as comfortable or not as accustomed to like severe adversity as we have been throughout all of human history.
Sure, like running from a lion.
Yeah,
like
or
getting
even,
up in the morning.
Dude, I was looking at some pictures of pioneers the other day. There was some old black and white, like where the people had to stand still and they did that thing. And the looks in these people's faces, the hardships that they must have faced. In this house they built out of trees behind them, and then you want to talk about gaunt?
Yeah,
like, bro, these people barely had enough food to keep the heart ticking.
Yeah,
they were all like real skinny and real. Like just...
No, I think about that a lot. I think about how we're so lucky right now in this point in history. And not that they weren't lucky and probably they didn't know any better and they were like, this is great. My life's happy if I was able to get shelter and food. But we can get on a plane and go anywhere in the world in less than 24 hours. That's insane. And that happened over the course of 50 years. We mastered flying, which is... Nuts. I mean, we can go anywhere.
Well, not only that, it's going to get even crazier because they're developing supersonic planes.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the Concorde, they got rid of the Concorde quite a long time. I think it killed a bunch of rich people.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. The last Concorde crash, I think it whacked a bunch of really rich people. Like, this fucking thing is not safe.
Uh-oh.
But they're developing commercial jets that are going to be able to go anywhere in the world in 4 hours.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy. That might be too much. That might be too much, though.
Even crazier than that, China is on the verge of developing some insane supersonic travel where I think it's more for military applications, but there's a wind tunnel that China has developed.
Really?
Yeah, that puts it like way ahead of what the American capabilities are in terms... At least what we know, right? Whatever black ops and shit they're doing in the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you think that has anything to do with? Because I just watched the 60 Minutes last night about the UAPs or identified UFOs, but they call them UAPs. Did you see that?
Yeah, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah. And do you think that has anything to do with it? Because
It could. I mean, who knows? Jeremy Corbell is a good friend of mine, and he's the guy who's been releasing them along with George Knapp, who's the journalist out of Las Vegas, who is the guy who originally broke the Bob Lazar story in the late 80s. And they've been it's interesting because they're basically a go-between. They're getting direct correspondence from people on the inside. Sailors, like guys like Commander David Fravor, who saw that Tic Tac shaped object
flying
off the
across
coast,
the sky,
off the Nimitz, that went from 80,000 feet above sea level to 50 in less than a second. And
crazy.
It's crazy.
I went on the Nimitz, by the way.
Did you?
I got to go on the Nimitz for 24 hours, fly in, land on the thing.
Oh my God!
It was crazy. Got to go.
So like a wire catches the jet.
Full wire, catches the jet,
Fuck.
the whole thing, land there, get off, go hang with all the crew. I mean, it's a full city. It is a floating city. They have a dentist office. They have an infirmary. They have an ER. They have, they can do anything. They have, and it's fully nuclear powered. So the thing can last like 50 years or something without getting refueled.
That is crazy.
It's nuts.
That's crazy. How big is it? See if we can get a video.
It's like 4 football fields long or something crazy.
This is it right here.
It's his video.
Yeah. This is that we made this video.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we made this.
Wow. Look at the fucking thing.
It's crazy.
Oh my God, that's so huge.
I know.
Wow.
It's nuts. And we really have kind of mastered the military as a society, right? It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And I hear China is on their 3rd. I didn't realize we only had 11 of these things. I thought we had 100. But we only have 11. And China is building their 3rd right now.
Uh-oh.
I was like, that's pretty close to 11.
Wonder what John Cena has to say about that. That poor bastard.
Yeah, it's wild. It was crazy. But anyways, I don't know where we were on the UFOs.
Well, we were talking about the Nimitz and the Commander David Fravor and these. I mean, they did capture some of them on video. There's the gimbal video and the Go Fast video, and then there is actual video footage of the craft that Commander Fravor and the other fighter pilots saw. It's a strange thing, and whether or not it's China, who knows? We don't have any understanding of what the technology is. When I say we, I mean like the general public. I'm sure someone in the military has an inkling of what's going on, and someone at the highest levels of physics. But the thing is, it's a propulsion system that is. It's alien not alien like from another world, but alien in comparison to everything that we use conventionally. In terms of like a jet, a jet burns fuel, it pushes out the back, the fuel blasts the thing forward because it pushes this way and it goes that way. The same with rockets, same with jets, same with everything we use. This doesn't do that. It doesn't give off a heat signature. They don't know why it can do what it does. It can move thousands of miles an hour instantaneously. They don't know if it's occupied. That's the thing. It's like, I've said that I think there's probably some sort of drone technology. But even if it was a drone technology, the way it was explained to me is that when something moves that fast, anything that we've developed that moves that fast, like instantaneously, would break apart. Like we don't have anything that's like structurally
sound.
Yeah, sound enough to take that kind of G-force, that instantaneous G-force, to go, 80,000 miles an hour, whatever the fuck it is, like instantly.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And to think though that if we could figure that out, we possibly could travel to other.
Yeah.
If we could figure out something that is sound that could go in outer space and travel at some crazy speed.
The idea is that it's some sort of a gravity propulsion system, that it doesn't work in a propulsion system like the conventional sense where it pushes something out the back. It works in a way that it bends gravity. Yeah, exactly. You know, look, I don't know how dumb you are, but I'm pretty fucking
Pretty dumb.
Yeah, so this is a rough conversation to have. It's whatever the fuck it is, it's pretty clear that the government has reached a point where they've decided to start discussing it with us. And, you know, I had Christopher Mellon on from the Defense Department, and he, formerly of the Defense Department, and he was talking about it and the way he described their interactions with these things. So, like, it's very troubling because we don't understand what they're doing. We have no control over them. They can do things we're not capable of doing. They hover over top secret military bases. They hover over aircraft carriers, and we don't know what they're doing. We don't know how they're operating. We don't know who's controlling them. You know, they can operate for hours and hours in the sky. There's nothing that we have that can do that. Nothing that we have that can move that fast. That can just literally just hang out there for hours.
So what was his prognosis? Did he think it was from?
He didn't. He's pretty logical. He doesn't have a prognosis. He doesn't even make an estimation or a guess. He's basically just trying to relay what they've encountered so far. And one of the things he said that disturbed me, or like made me pause, is like, we have only seen the tip of the iceberg of the evidence they actually have.
Because a lot of it's classified?
Yeah, a lot of it's classified, and a lot of it is people on bases have filmed things, and then they've locked it down. Now, Jeremy Corbell is getting a lot of attention because a lot of these people that have these videos, they reach out to him. Because if you're someone in the military who's concerned about these things, and you're like, look, we got to stop bullshitting the American public and in the world, and stop keeping this stuff secret, and put it out there. So let scientists look at it. Let propulsion experts look at it. Let, engineers look at it, and let them explain why we can't do this, and explain how maybe something could be made if you had some insane amount of power, some incredible breakthrough in terms of technology that could allow some being, whether it's us, whether it's like whether we don't know that whether it's Russia or China or whoever has this capability, or whether it's some being from another planet, or whether it's something that lives in the ocean. You know, that's the weirdest one, man. They've got video. One of the more recent videos that Jeremy released is what they call a transmedium vehicle, meaning it flies through the air and then goes into the water. And they're like, what the fuck is that?
What?
And this is from, I believe it was from 2019, but this was another one of their breakthrough videos where this is also filmed, I think it was filmed from an aircraft carrier. What was the...
I feel like maybe I heard a little bit about that on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
That went into the water.
Bro, it's freaking
and 4 people
out.
saw it.
Yeah.
4 fighter pilots actually saw it. They were all said the same thing. No, we saw this in 2 different planes.
Yeah. Someone filmed something off the coast of Hawaii that did something very similar recently too. Same thing. Went into the water.
Really?
Yeah, they don't know what the fuck it is, man. They don't know what it is. It's weird that we're seeing so many of them recently. And I think it's because our fucking society's falling apart. I think they realize we're sleeping at the wheel.
Maybe, or there's just way more video cameras now.
Could be.
Right? I
Could
mean,
be.
it's kind of like I see all these shark videos, right?
Did you see that recent one?
No, what's the recent one?
Oh my God, there's one off of Massachusetts where there's a bunch of tourists on a boat.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, this thing is so big.
So big.
It's so big. It's like a 15-foot long great white that's swimming through the water right next to them.
They're so wide too.
Dude, this is a wild one because the guy who's filming it is like, holy shit. Like you can see this thing swimming in the water while there's 50 people in this boat watching it.
You see, I think a lot of I think they've been there for a long time. And we just have more cameras. I don't think there's any more sharks. I mean, maybe because we're not hunting them as much, but I feels like there's just more cameras.
Well, that's the case for sharks for sure because of drone technology. Like one of the things they've done off the coast of Malibu is there's a bunch of people surfing.
Yeah.
And they're having a good time. Yeah, man, taking in the rays. And then you look like 100 yards off of them, there's a great white swimming around. They're completely oblivious. They have no idea.
I'm a surfer, so I get that.
Where do you surf?
Well, I surf all over. I actually just got back from Mexico. I was down there just on a surf trip at the very bottom of Mexico on the border of Guatemala.
Are there sharks out there?
Oh yeah. I mean, you
You're
don't
cool-
see
you're
you
cool
don't
with
see
that?
them. Look, man, we're all just we're all renting space on this planet. You know, it's like
I feel you.
if that's the way I'm gonna go, that's not a bad way.
Can you find that video?
I found one that it's not. It might not be new. You might have just seen it, but there's a bunch of ones saying like there's Large Marge. They call it, I guess.
No, this is
Marge.
this
I've
is
heard of that
really recent. This was filmed.
I know. I'm not seeing any recent videos. popping up.
Large
I know.
shark.
That's why I typed in
off coast of
Massachusetts, and
Massachusetts,
it's not giving me
nothing?
anything. It's giving me videos from like last year.
It's too many shark videos out there.
There's a lot of shark videos.
Yeah. I think there's more sightings than there have been before. Well, the Commander Fravor one is from 2004, that sighting. But one of the things that the guys in the Nimitz were saying is that they were encountering these things on a regular basis.
Sure.
They were encountering multiple objects like that a month. There's another one. What is this one?
It says 5 days ago. Almost what you're saying. Duxbury Beach, great white shark, 15 feet in length. But this is like a.
Yeah, this isn't the one. This is off a beach. Oh, that's a big fucker.
I mean,
Those things
you know
scare
the
me.
thing is though that's crazy is like we're fishing for tuna and a lot of their food,
Yeah,
and then people are like, "Well, you can't kill a shark."
yeah.
And you're like, "Well, but you'll go to Nobu and have like this, bluefin sushi that's delicious, but
Well, you know
where's
what
your-
happened? Here's the shift. Because people used to eat shark all the time.
Yeah.
Used to go to a restaurant, order Mako shark. The shark's fin soup controversy happened.
Sure.
Where people saw that some people were hacking the fins off sharks and then throwing them back in the water to die. And the abject cruelty of that struck a chord. And then the zeitgeist decided that sharks should be protected. And that
Yeah.
we shouldn't eat sharks.
I guess I'm all about animal conservation. I also eat meat and eat fish, and I think responsible fishing, responsible hunting, that's the answer. Not there's not one size fits all. Like, no, it's just over. It's like, well, come on, like let's calm down. We've been
Yeah.
doing this since the beginning of time. Let's just let it cycle and repopulate and live, and maybe instead of every time you go to a sushi restaurant, there's just this one thing that you have to have. It's
Yeah.
no, that's not in season.
Yeah,
Right?
I think what we need to do is have really responsible wildlife biologists examine populations, whether it's wild animals or wild fish. And the problem that we're encountering for sure is that there's people in other countries that just don't give a fuck. And
Yeah.
they just will overfish areas. And that, look, if you're poor, I get it. If you're living in some country and this is the only way you feed your family, who gives a shit about those fish? That's your perspective. I get it, but there won't be an unlimited amount of them. There's going to come a time their fishing methods are so effective that they're able to pull so many fish out of the water and so indiscriminately. Where dolphins get caught,
Sure.
turtles get caught.
But
in the nets.
it doesn't feel like if you're from a very poor country and that's all you have is fishing and that's your thing, that doesn't feel like it's doing the major dent in the ocean. It's the massive trawlers, the big corporations
Right.
that take because they have to have whatever it is on their menu.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get it. It's like, you're a fisherman, you're feeding your family. That's a sustainable way of going about it. You go out and get fish, you bring it back. But if you just have to totally destroy the ocean doing it, that's maybe at the cost of just for profit seems a little.
Well, it's crazy because there's the ocean is kind of like fair game, right? There's when you're in the wild ocean, I don't know
Maritime laws.
Yeah.
They're different. They're not. They're like its own country almost.
right? Like I don't know what regulations they have in terms of like how many tuna you can pull out. Do they? I mean, is it regulated? And if you are like using nets, how do you control how many tuna you get?
Well, it's regulated. It's regulated in America.
Right.
At least in our surrounding waters, right? Like fishing game do regulate, limits and
sport
commercial
fishing for sure,
and
for
commercial and commercial,
Right.
And they have seasons, but like you said, once you get outside of, into international waters, that's where it gets complicated.
Yeah, I mean, how do you stop a country from overfishing? I mean, they've had a hard time. Like Sea Shepherd has had a really hard time stopping people from whaling, believe it or not. And in this day and age, what Sea Shepherd has caught is these countries that pretend they're doing it for scientific purposes.
Oh,
so
really?
they'll kill a whale, and they'll say it's for research. They'll have a research vessel, and they'll kill these whales, and they'll have them on their boat, and then they just sell them and use the parts and use all the stuff that they they use them for cosmetics and all sorts of weird things, and
Get the oils and stuff, yeah.
and they'll say that this is for research. And they've done an amazing job highlighting these issues, but it's very difficult to get other countries to comply. And those Sea Shepherd folks, they put their lives at risk doing that because there's an immense amount of profit involved in a whale.
How do you draw the line though? Like if someone say a country like Iceland, for example, who has been whaling for the beginning of time, and they're eating the whale,
right?
So then it gets into like a weird no man's land where you're like, okay, I can tell you can't fish that, but you can fish this.
Yeah.
It kind of is a little...
I feel you. Yeah, it's weird. Well, also indigenous communities are allowed to hunt whales and seals and all sorts of other things in this country.
Yeah.
And, the rest of the folks aren't. It's touchy. Like, I don't want to eat a fucking whale. I don't want to kill a whale. They're cool.
Not. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a whale in the wild?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Amazing animals.
We went on a whale watch tour in Hawaii last year, pre-COVID. It was amazing. Dude, they breached the water in front of you, and it's like, oh, my God. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids were screaming. We were screaming. It was like you get close to them, and you see them out of the water, and you can't believe it.
Yeah. The magnitude of how big they are, and then
immense.
You hear them underwater. Like they're talking to each other.
Yeah, they're incredible.
They're incredible.
But then again, orcas come along and murder them. So like, hey, what do you do about that? Like, we can't stop. Look, everybody loves orcas. Everybody.
Yeah. Unless you're getting eaten by one.
But they call them killer whales because they kill whales. That's what's fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, I don't know who I like more. Like, if there's a gang fight between whales and orcas, I don't know whose team I'm on. I don't know what to say there. I don't want to pick a side.
Yeah.
Right? How do you pick a side there? Everybody loves orcas. Everybody loves whales. But when you see a whale getting fucked up by killer whales, like, what do you do?
That's nature right there. That's like it's distilled down to its granular moment.
It's like the ultimate question. Like, whose side are you on? Right? Do you love wolves or do you love elk? If you see a wolf eating an elk asshole first and tearing it apart, and it's and it's trying to get away, and it's getting ripped apart. Like, I'm not on team elk or team wolf. Mm-hmm. What do? I have to just accept that this is a part of the cycle of life.
So it's actually on my Instagram from a while ago, Jamie, but I paddled out in near southern Baja and on a paddleboard with my buddy because we saw some killer whales. And we're like, yeah, let's just go paddle out there and see. And my buddy starts making whale noises. And I'm sort of like, okay, dude. Okay, haha, like, you're going to get them. They're going to come back. They make a U-turn. A mom and a baby orca come up to us. We're on an inflatable paddleboard.
Is this you guys?
This is it.
Oh, my God.
And
whoa, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God, they're under you.
And so at this point, I'm like, oh, my God, so cool. And then I freak out because then I'm like, hey, bro, stop. You can't. Now we're
you
the
don't
prey.
even have life vests
We're
on.
the prey.
That's incredible. I want to hear these fucking news people talk about it. Incredible. Scott Eastwood off the coast of Mexico spots a killer whale.
I think that's what they said.
My favorite broadcast moment of all time is like there's one of these guys that's doing that. He does this thing where he talks like this, and then a bee.
Oh yeah, I've
gets
seen
on.
this.
Says, "Motherfucker, get the fuck off!"
So good.
Like, we need
good.
real people news. We need like that guy just to drop all that bullshit and just be who you are when the bee was going after you.
Yeah.
And tell me what's going on now.
He's like, Get me out of this country, motherfucker, shit.
It was incredible because you see like this like full dropping of this act.
I know.
That act is a weird act. It's like they feel like they have to do that. Like, hey, here's Bob with the weather. It's the same thing with like top 40 DJs. Like, coming up next, and then they have this like fucking voice that they put on.
DJ Skittles.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like someone must have been really good at that voice somewhere along the line, and everybody was like, wow, I want to sound like Tom. Tom is really good on the mic.
That's true.
He's got that voice.
Do you remember Pablo
This guy? Pablo
my
Francisco.
gosh.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
friend of mine. Here he goes.
Oh no, I ain't messing with you. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no, I ain't messing with you. Oh,
Is it? What is that? Is that a
Bison?
bison?
Yeah, I saw an
good
animal.
move. Get the fuck out of there. Where's the bison? Is he climbing in the truck?
Yeah.
He climbed in his car. He climbed in the hatch.
Maybe saw a grizzly. He was in Yellowstone.
Speaking of that, we're going viral today. Did you see this video of the lady attacking the bear that was going after her dogs
Yes.
in her
No.
backyard?
Yes.
Oh
This
my
dog was what was going on was the bear was a mama bear with her cubs, and they were running across the top of this like a stone fence.
Wild and
Sorry.
Yeah, play it.
I didn't know that.
And the lady is a fucking gangster.
So she's only
No.
17.
Yeah. Take it from the beginning. Because you get to see the little ones.
Is that a
the
black
little
bear? Or
yeah,
brown
see
bear?
the little ones? See the little bears? See, it's a mama with her cubs.
Oh.
And so the bear does not want to hurt those dogs. Look at that crazy lady, though. That lady's gangster as fuck.
Whoa.
She just pushed that bear off the top of the fence. I mean, that's a fucking 300-pound bear. That's a color-phased brown bear, right? So the dogs are barking, the bear's swatting at them. But the only reason why the bear is doing that is it's a mama bear, and she's got her cubs with her. But that lady is a fucking gangster.
She's a gangster.
Look at her, grabs her little
That's pretty
dogs.
boss.
Come on, man. Oh, it's a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Even more gangster. Look at that.
She has no idea how lucky she is.
She's a savage. Look at her. Somebody marry that girl. Wait till she turns 18 and marry her. She's a keeper. That's a keeper.
That's
Right?
Keeper. That's pretty boss.
I wouldn't do that. I'd
I
throw
know.
a rock from a fair distance.
I know we were
But-
just talking about Yellowstone, and I saw that, and I was telling you about the hunting and the bears.
Yeah.
Now you got me thinking about it.
Oh, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yeah, you're going to Wyoming. Be very careful. I've had friends that have had encounters with bears in Wyoming. It's Wyoming's gorgeous, but it's really lightly populated. There's very few human beings, and the bears up there are no joke.
Yeah.
And when the thing is, it's almost like if you shoot a bear at night. Like you shoot a bear like at 6 o'clock p.m. and it gets dark at 7 p.m. Like, just get out of there. You're not gonna pack it out at night.
Well, I'm not hunting bear up there.
No.
If I
did
shot
I say
a bear,
Did I say a bear?
You mean elk?
I meant an elk.
Yeah.
I'm just confused because I'm scared of bears. So
Yeah.
I'm saying bear, thinking about elk. If you shot an elk up there, what I should say is,
Yeah.
and it's like 6 o'clock at night, and you're trying to pack it out.
Come back in the morning.
Come back in the morning. Yeah, you know what they do is guys like pee around the elk, and they'll take their clothes off, and they'll throw the smell of their clothes on the carcass, so the bears will hesitate.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll throw like shirts, like sweaty shirts and shit.
No, I was
on
listening
the
to
elk.
that. I was listening to that when you were talking to Ranello on here.
Oh, when he almost got killed in Fogneck Island. That's a terrifying story.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that's the situation. That is exactly the situation where they shot an elk and then they went back to retrieve it. And when they went back to retrieve it, a bear had decided it was his. And it was
Not cool.
an 11-foot bear. Oh, bro, this ceiling is what? What is this ceiling? Is this 10 feet?
No. 9.
9?
Oh
I'm
my
just looking at a
dear.
10-foot ceiling.
Just fucking imagine something 2 feet taller than this ceiling. Ah!
So messed up.
Dude, just fucking imagine something 2 feet taller than this ceiling that weighs 1,000 pounds.
That you can't outrun.
Oh, not even close. They run faster than the fastest sprinter that's ever lived.
Oh.
You know John Dudley?
Yeah.
Shout out to John Dudley, not
Yeah.
on archery. He was watching through a scope, and he saw a bear kill a moose by swatting it on the back and breaking its back.
No.
He said it hit it in the back and it snapped the bear. The bear snapped the moose's spine.
That's wild.
What?
Did it fall down a cliff or something?
Just just fell down. That's how powerful they are.
Man, you got me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
It's like you punching a baby.
Oh.
What is this? Oh yeah, this is this one. This moose was on the side of the road, and this bear comes along and just drags it away. I don't know if this moose got hit by a car or what. Probably, but look how this bear just grabs it and just drags it.
It's nature, man. It is not forgiving.
It's not forgiving, but it's also the reason why there's enough resources. There's a reason. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, right? But there's a reason why there's enough plants. There's a reason why there's enough birds, and there's enough, ground squirrels, and all these. There's a balance to all this, and it has to exist in this way. You can't just let moose overpopulate the earth. They'll run out of food, and then they'll be racked with disease, and they'll be everywhere. Like you need bears to kill the moose, and you need, unfortunately. You need all these animals to the only way to balance them out is something has to come along and eat them.
So what kills humans?
We do, and disease.
That's true.
And stupidity. You need to go to all those Instagram pages where dudes are doing like crazy stunts. And I watched Willie D had a video of this couple fighting on a porch. And they fell off the porch. Mm-hmm. They were fucking slapping each other and fighting and shit on a porch, and the porch collapsed, and they fell 2 stories onto the concrete below. It's rough. That's what kills people.
Humans. And disease. You're right.
Two fat people getting in the fight. Yeah, it's rough. You want to watch it? Here.
It's crazy, though.
Don't show it to everybody else. Just look at my face.
Okay.
I'll here, watch this.
I'll restart.
Show it again. Restart.
Oh, my.
There.
Watch this.
It just goes.
Watch this. Boom.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Not good. And I'm pretty sure the lady landed on her head.
It's crazy, though, like to think about the things we do to other humans.
Yeah, horrible.
The atrocities, these things. And we're an evolved society at this point. We're an evolved species, kind of. Not really.
Really, the most evolved the world's ever known.
Yeah.
Well, look, we are certainly not perfect. But when it comes to conflict, we are the most evolved the world has ever known because we can protest this conflict. Like, look at what's going on right now with Israel and Palestine. Whatever side of the fence you fall on, and I don't want to be political about this, but I want to say that the world is watching, and the world is watching what's happening in Gaza. The world is, and then people have their opinions one way or the other, but everyone is aware of what's going on in a way that is unprecedented. Like if you want to go back to World War II, we would get newspapers from World War II, right? They would show before movies. They would show news clips where you could see what's happening overseas, and people would kind of try to put together a sense of what's going on. There's no real footage when they stormed the beach at Normandy, right?
No.
I mean, but we know.
No GoPros.
We know it must have been horrific. But now we get to see things. We get to see the Iron Curtain over Israel. We get to see the rockets flying back and forth. It's fucking crazy. We get to see things.
Oh, I mean, it's just nuts. Over what? Like what?
I
At the
don't
end of the
understand
day,
it.
I mean, we're only just here for this little blip, and then it's gone. It's over. We're dust, and we spend it hating each other, fighting each other. It's sad.
Most of it, in my opinion, is an extreme lack of either one-on-one communication or the ability to come to understand each other. Like if you were talking about countries, like it's like China versus United States or Russia versus United States, or what? Like we're not talking to them. We don't even know what their language sounds. We don't understand what they're saying, right? If we had some sort of a war with China, we don't even know what their perspective is. We don't speak their language, right?
Yeah. We're all just humans. They're humans. We're humans.
Exactly.
We all have to do the same thing. We're all inherently there's a lot of good and a lot of good people. Why can't we just come to that middle ground and go, okay, look, we're all here existing. Let's just try to be better.
Well, I think people are inherently wrapped in conflict. I think we have been since the beginning of time, because conflict is the only thing that's allowed us to survive, right? Whether it's conflict, protecting ourselves from predators, or conflict because of raiding tribes that were trying to take what we had.
Resources, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're someone who's coming from a desert and you run into this oasis, and this oasis is filled with people that have an incredible bounty of food, but they're trying to protect it, and you have children to feed, you're going to war. I mean, that's what's happened throughout human history.
Yeah.
People have always attacked the other, especially if the other speaks some sort of different tongue that you don't understand. It's easy to.
So you can't find common ground.
Yeah.
And say, okay, hey,
Yeah.
let's find a middle ground here. Let's here's what we need, but here's what you need. Let's cut the deck.
Yeah. I mean, just think about how easy it is for people in this country to demonize the other when it comes to people in this own country, in the same country as them, that speak the same language, that hold different political beliefs.
Crazy.
I mean, when Trump lost and Biden came into office, and they started putting together lists of Republicans that somehow or another aided Trump, and they wanted to blackball these people and make sure they never worked again, and make sure that they were ostracized, and whoa, you're making lists? Didn't we learn anything from the McCarthy era? What are you doing? But it's this other. You're not treating them as people that have a different perspective than you do, that maybe you can come to common ground with and just have a conversation. And we're all here for a short amount of time. We want our children to be happy. We want our communities to be safe. We want our families to be healthy, and people to be educated and to do well and prosper, right? That's what everybody wants.
You'd think so, though. And then you see, like you said, making lists or trying to take people down because they did something or they said something, that they didn't like, and they're trying to get them fired from their jobs and take away their ability to make money. It's
weird.
It's sad. It's sad. I'm like, damn.
It is sad.
Man.
It's sad. Well, you know what? It's a newfound tool, and I don't think people know how to use it correctly.
Well, because are you saying it's newfound because
the
of
internet
technology?
Yeah.
Because information just spreads so fast.
Well, everyone has the ability to do it now, right? People have the ability to voice opinions and attack people, and even express opinions that are silly. And other people will agree with those silly opinions because they're silly as well. I was watching this video the other day where this woman was saying that if you are not willing to date someone because they're overweight, she was this enormous lady. She was saying if you're not willing to date someone if they're overweight, then you're a bigot. And that it's things you share in common with someone, the differences of opinion should be I like this kind of food, I like that kind of food. But if you're not interested in someone who's overweight, that's like saying I don't like people because they're a different race than I am. That's racist. Or I don't like people because they're, they have a handicap. That's ableist. She's like, if you're saying you're not attracted to someone because they're overweight, then you're fat phobic and you're a bigot. And it's one of the wildest videos I've ever, because people were freaking out, laughing at it and mocking it and getting angry about it. But my point about it was, this is perfect. It's a perfect example because what the internet has done is allow people that most people wouldn't listen to them in the real world. If you were working with some lady and she was like, the only reason why men are not attracted to me is because they're bigots. You'd be like, okay, Denise, have a nice day.
Denise,
see you Monday.
You crazy girl, yo.
You would go, okay, bye. Sorry, Denise. I don't want to turn Denise into a new Karen.
Yeah.
But
it sounds right.
But you wouldn't take her seriously.
Uh-huh.
But if this person goes online, they go on TikTok and they put this video out there, and then a lot of other crackpots on TikTok on TikTok are like, yeah, she's right. Yeah.
Denise, go Denise.
All these people don't like me because of that. And it's just, people have found their tribe now, and their tribe, but maybe it's not good to find other mentally ill people and get together and decide that you guys are right, and the rest of the world that's objective and reasoning is that they're the ones with the problem.
Yeah, just compassion, just, hey, you know what? Okay, cool. Have your own view. We definitely need more of that. Whatever. Just, it doesn't mean that the other person's wrong too. Both can exist together.
Yes.
It's hey, you can think that all these people are bigots, and I can think this, and maybe we can find a common ground that, okay, maybe not everyone's a bigot.
Maybe Denise just needs to go to the gym. Denise,
True.
you're going to be okay.
We love you, Denise.
Just start drinking water, lay off the Kool-Aid. Let's go. Let's go. Start walking around the hill. Just do something. You don't even have to lift weights. You don't have to do anything crazy. Let's start slow.
Get you a Peloton.
Change the diet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pelotons are great. You got a video of someone in front of you. I was actually doing the stair mill while I was watching The Wrath of Man.
You're watching a movie while working out.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's the
you're a
best way to
savage.
do it. It's the best way to do it. Because a movie like that, like a Guy Ritchie movie, it's all fucking crazy action. It keeps you going.
And you went the whole time? You started and did the whole movie?
No, I did not. I did 45 minutes, and then I watched the rest of it in my office with my feet up.
Okay. Now you sound like a normal person.
Drinking Killcliff.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I watched it in 2 steps.
I was like, that's a pretty brutal workout if you did 2 hours.
It's a dope movie, though, because I like what he did with the timelines. He switched the timelines up, and he made it like you have to go, I got.
Well, he's got a way, Guy Ritchie has a way of letting the audience still have to do math in their head after the scene's over.
Yeah.
Like you're still figuring it out. You're going, as the next scene's already happening. So it's playing this catch-up game, which I think is it's a math equation for your mind.
Yeah.
Which is why I think his stuff's so stylized and cool.
Well, I was really impressed with him when I met with him and talked to him, like have him on the podcast. He's an intense guy, and he's a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Oh yeah, I've rolled with him before.
From Renzo.
Yeah.
That's top of the food chain, man. It's like if you're a black belt from like Hickson or Renzo or Hoyler, like one of those black belts, like that is very impressive.
Yeah.
So he's an accomplished man. He's a like we were talking about before. Like if Brad Pitt's gonna find a waitress, she's got to be someone who needs. She understands.
Yeah.
She understands adversity. That's more important than anything. Someone who can accomplish things and someone who can handle adversity. Like that young lady that attacked that bear and pushed that bear off the top of that fence. That young girl is different.
Just got a killer instinct.
But those are the people that you want. You want the people that can pick up a car because their kid is trapped underneath it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, there's people, when you apply pressure to them, they excel.
Yes.
And then there's some people when you apply pressure and they crack.
Yes.
And it's just, I don't think you can maybe you can train that.
You can train it.
You can train that.
You can definitely train it.
But I think there's an instinct too.
Yeah.
Like some people can be really good out the gate at it.
I think that's because of their upbringing, though. I think it's because of a lot of things. I think some of it, I'm just guessing, right? But some of it may be genetics or epigenetics, but I think some of it is their upbringing. Like, what have they encountered when they were younger? One of the things that I found is that men who have older brothers that beat them up, those motherfuckers are not to be messed with. Because some of the toughest dudes I've ever met have bigger brothers because they're just ready to go. Because their brother's been fucking with them since they were 1 year old, and they are ready to go. Like some of the toughest guys in the UFC had tough older brothers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You've seen it way more than anyone else, so I'm sure you're able to correlate the two.
Jim Miller, Chris Weidman, you can go down the list. Like some of the baddest motherfuckers that ever competed in the UFC have older brothers who are also beasts. And like Matt Hughes, one of the greatest of all time, has a fucking twin. And they used to hate each other, beat the shit out of each other.
Wow. I didn't know you had a twin.
You imagine like another Scott Eastwood staring at you, ready to fuck you up, ready to steal your woman and eat your food.
You're nothing. You're nothing.
You can't leave a piece of cake in the fridge. Fuck you. You know?
That would be yeah.
It makes you a savage, and I think some people it's nurture, some people it's nature, but the people that can handle pressure. It's like some people rise to the occasion, other people are diminished by the moment. Some big moments cause people to be paralyzed, and some people just know how to act.
Do you think that's though? Maybe some people were just maybe coddled too much, and then when the pressure happens, they're like, I can't deal.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some of that, but you can learn how to deal. It's not impossible to learn. You can grow. You know,
Yeah.
John Danaher has this concept that anyone can completely reinvent themselves in 5 years.
In just 5 years.
Yeah, in 5 years, you can make massive progress in whatever you're trying to do. And he uses martial arts as an example. He uses Mike Tyson he's on the Lex Friedman podcast. I was watching a video about this the other day. And he uses Mike Tyson as an example. He uses several other martial artists, some judo players, and some other people as examples. But the idea is that if you fully dedicate yourself to something, that you can, in 5 years' time, you can make massive improvements. And
I say it's
he's
like
right.
10,000 hour rule, right?
Yeah.
So I bet in 5 years, if you just
I think it's just a fully dedicated person to whatever it is, whether it's playing chess or painting or anything.
Yeah.
Just fully dedicated to something that in 5 years' time, and he just uses that as a rough time frame, but it's like it's an established time frame. Like many people have done that within 5 years. And he used like the Mike Tyson thing. Like as 13 years old, he was adopted by Customano. By 18, he was one of the most feared heavyweights on the planet, and a professional and smashing people. You know, there's a lot of other examples of that though.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think he's right. I think when I always hear people say like sometimes they want things or and I'm like, well, do you really want it? Because most people when they want something, they just go do it. When you really want something, when you really want something, you're just doing it. And if you talk about it and you talk about, oh, here's what I want, it's like likelihood you might not have actually wanted it. You just, you're saying that.
Well, maybe you want it, but you don't know exactly how to go out and do it. Like,
I'd agree with that.
Like there's people that have experience. Like, say if you're like a person who's like an elite track and field athlete, which is a very difficult pursuit, right? It requires like running, and you got to the discipline involved, and you're competing against people that everyone knows how to run. Okay, it's just like left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. So for you to be the elite at that requires a special kind of willpower. Like for you to be elite at things that other people can do too, that's a special kind of person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's genetic advantages at certain. Like I'm not fast, man. I've never been a fast runner. I got short legs. I weigh too much for my height. I'm not going quick.
208. Gotta get you 195.
Some people can run, man. They can fucking run. And I've experienced this when I was young. I remember like running against other people that were like really good runners. I'm like, damn, that motherfucker's like way faster than me. He doesn't even run. It's just there's advantages that some people have genetically. But then there's people that are in that same, like that have genetic advantages, but also have extreme discipline and willpower. And every day they wake up thinking, I am going to be faster today. I am going to run harder today. I'm going to push myself more. I'm going to stretch more. I'm going to recover better. I'm going to do more ice baths. I'm going to do more massage. And I'm going to get whatever it is, a tenth of a second quicker, a second quicker, 2 seconds quicker. I'm going to beat them all. And that kind of person's, they can accomplish anything. If they go from that to something else,
sure,
the kind of willpower that you have to have, as long as you could shift mindsets.
No, when you see like guys like, even like, you ever met Kelly Slater?
Yeah, I love Kelly.
He's good at anything he does.
Yes. He's good at being handsome too.
Yes.
Somebody had made a photo of the two of us together. It's like Joe Rogan next to a much prettier Joe Rogan.
Yeah. No, but he's good at anything he puts his mind to because he's so disciplined. Whatever that tenth of a second is or whatever that thing is, he just does and does and does, and then it transfers to anything, whether it's golf or bowling. He beats you in anything.
Yeah, to be that good at riding waves, to be that good at being able to anticipate which way the waves are going and balance yourself perfectly. Shane Dorian's a good friend of mine as well, and he's another one. It's just a savage. Giant wave riding fucking
beast.
Barbarian, I mean, to be a person like that, that guy could do anything. He's a huge bow hunter. That's when you can do that, when you can ride giant waves, you can basically do anything. Because when those giant waves, those fucking 100-foot tall waves, you're inside of those things in a tube. If
I love hearing you explain like in the tube, like a 100-foot wave. Something about so funny
It's
about you. You're
insanity.
in that tube.
It's insanity. You watch those
is.
videos, like if you fuck up, you're dead.
Oh yeah.
You're
No,
dead.
there's a huge quantum jump from surfing whatever size waves, mediocre size waves, to even big, like I'd call big waves like 20 feet. These guys are surfing. 20 foot is nothing to them.
What's the biggest wave anyone's ever surfed?
It's hard to quantify, I think.
I'm
I think
saying
that's
100
like
feet, but I'm just talking out of my ass. I have no idea.
Probably. I would say you're probably right. I mean, it depends on how you judge the wave.
Let's
but
guess. Let's guess.
I would say that there's probably been a 100-foot face for sure.
The highest wave anyone has ever surfed.
For whatever reason, it says the world record is 75 feet or something like that. But then right below it, it says there's someone that's surfed a 101.4 foot wave.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's like pretty hard to measure it.
You got to
right?
measure that in bitch feet. So like someone like me looking at a 75-foot wave is like 700 feet high.
Oh yeah. I mean, you'd be in.
Is there a video
The
of that?
thing is, you'd be in
Oh my
full
God.
panic.
Look at
Full
this.
panic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so
Keep getting
scared.
bigger, I think here.
He's
Look
not
at-
even at the bottom of it yet. Look at that. He's
Oh my
not even
God.
close to the bottom.
What language is that video in?
That's in that's Nazaré. That's in Portugal.
Oh.
That's that big wave. I've been there actually. I've never surfed it. But
Oh my God. Look at it crashing down. Oh, Jesus.
yeah.
That is a crazy wave, man.
And he got out pretty unscathed on that one.
Yeah.
Jet ski ready to pick him up. That's not always like that.
Yeah, if he makes it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't smash him on the top of the fucking head and drag him into the reef.
That place is dangerous.
That's got to be.
Yeah.
You surfed that?
I haven't surfed that. I've been there.
What's the craziest place you've surfed?
Ooh, the craziest place I've surfed is probably South Africa.
Ooh, Great
Yeah.
Whites, right?
Great whites, big surf, scary, freezing cold.
Freezing cold.
Freezing cold.
Really? But
Yeah.
hot outside.
Warm outside, not hot.
Really? South Africa's not hot?
No, not really. I mean,
Really?
it's nice. It's like California.
Oh.
It's like Mediterranean.
So it's California water temperatures? Or
Colder.
colder?
Colder.
Oh.
I mean, there's places that get less cold as you go up the East Cape.
That makes sense if there's more great whites there because great whites like the cold water, right?
They seem to, but there's been great whites spotted off and tagged that have gone down to Hawaii. So they travel the globe. There's no real. We're still learning about them. They're dinosaurs.
Look at this. The biggest wave ever recorded measured 1,720 feet.
I don't think that's real.
It says it was in Alaska, and no one surfed it.
Yeah.
You don't think
And
it's real? It's on
Maybe.
surfertoday.com.
An earthquake triggered it.
The internet.
Oh, an
totally
earthquake
true.
triggered it. Oh, okay. An
picture.
earthquake
maybe.
triggered it.
Wow.
Yeah.
1958, Lituya. Is that how you say that? Lituya Bay, southeast of Alaska.
I mean, it's crazy when you see some of these videos of the tsunamis coming in. Have you seen those?
I have.
That is the most
Oh, wait a
terrifying thing.
second.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't
Maybe
imagine.
the wave. Maybe that's how long it was, not how tall it was.
When I lived in California, we were getting our kitchen redone. Our kitchen was all fucked up, and we decided to rent a house. So we said, well, while our kitchen's getting all fucked up, we can't really cook at our house. Let's rent a house. So I always had this idea that it'd be cool to like live on the ocean in Malibu. So I'm like, let's rent a house on Malibu, and it's real expensive and it was real weird. But we got this house, and the way it was set up, it's like it had poles into the ground, and the water would literally come under the house. In the daytime, it's dope as fuck.
Sure.
Because you're looking out there, and it's blue water, you're eating your breakfast, you're like, wow, I feel so fortunate that I could live like this. Even for like 3 months. I was
Yeah.
like, this is cool. But at nighttime, it's terrifying. When you look out there at nighttime, the ocean lets you know what it really is. In the daytime, the ocean's like, look at all the birds. Ooh, did you see that dolphin? Crazy. We see a dolphin. Oh my God, I see a dolphin. So cute. But at nighttime, you go, oh my God, that's an unstoppable force of water in nature that's impossible to imagine. There's something about the darkness. When it's dark at night, you see the stars and you look out, you see all the water, and you realize what it really is. Plus, nighttime is when I get high as fuck, right? So I'm sitting there looking out the window, high as fuck, and the water's right there. I'm
just
like
freaking out.
Oh my God.
You're freaking out, man.
I was so freaking out. I was freaking out.
I thought you were going to go say that it was weird because of like all the weirdos in Malibu or something.
Well, it's a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
But I like weirdos. I'm not scared of weirdos. I think they're an integral part of our society.
Yeah, at least it's not boring, right?
Yeah, we need them. We need weirdos. You can't get by with no weirdos.
What's the weirdest experience you've had with a crazy fan? How about that?
I don't know if I should talk about it on the air because I don't want to encourage more similar type of situations.
Behavior. Yeah.
But let me just say this, that from the Spotify thing, things have ramped up considerably. Not just ramped up in like when you're talking about like the scrutiny
Sure.
that I experience and the criticism that I experience. But also the amount of people that think they have to talk to me, that's important, that they have to talk to me. You know?
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, it's weird. I'll be honest. Even today, I had someone text me randomly. They wanted me to get you something because they had heard that. By the way, I didn't even tell them I was going on this. I had told one of my close friends. He must have said something to one of his friends, and they said something to another friend. And he texted me out of the blue. I didn't have this guy's number, and he said, "Hey, can you get Joe Rogan something for me?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Who is this?" And that's how weird it is. And I've dealt with it my whole life because of my father,
Right.
where people think that I am a conduit, even before I was doing my own movies and things. I was a conduit to him, and that they could just come to me with these odd requests, and that my dad would be, like somehow open to them. So it's like I understand it, and I have to field it. Every week there's emails and crap and stuff, and now I just put on horse blinders.
Yeah.
But it's a weird place because it's like you said, it's like you're not doing anything different. You're living the same life you're living, but there's people coming out of these weird places trying to come at like angles at you.
Well, this podcast in particular has been very interesting and almost an experiment in that I've never done any publicity for this fucking thing. Never once. I've never done anything where I like put out ads like please watch my podcast or went on shows trying to get people to watch the podcast. I've never done that.
It just happened organically.
Yeah, but I did it on purpose. I did that on purpose because at the beginning I didn't do it because I wanted it to be huge. I did it because I enjoyed doing radio. I enjoyed doing Opie and Anthony. I enjoyed doing Howard Stern. I enjoyed doing local radio like Kevin and Bean in L.A. And I was like, it's fun to just talk shit. And comedians, when we get together, like some of my favorite times as a comic, we're hanging out with comedians after the show in the green room, just laughing, making each other laugh, talking shit. And I was always like, I want to record this. I want to like figure out a way to like show people that half the fun of being a stand-up comedian is hanging out with other stand-up comedians. When I'm getting together with like Tim Dillon or Mark Normand or Joey Diaz or Ari Shaffir, any of these savages, it's just half the fun is the hang. It's like half the fun.
Sure.
So I was like, I got to figure out how to make that hang, record it, and just that was the idea. It's just to do some sort of a thing where you could sit down and just let people feel what it's like to be in that conversation. I was like, it's fun to do, and it gives me an excuse to hang out with my friends. Because, like, some of them would be on the other, like Duncan was always he's lived on the east side, and, and some of my friends would live over in Venice Beach, and it's like, I got to get them all together. What's the best way to get them all together? To make a thing where they had to come in, sit down, shut your phone off, and we just hang out together. And we smoke some weed, drink some beers, and make, have some fun, make a podcast.
Sure. Yeah.
And it became what it is organically in the most pure sense of that word, where I never anticipated it. I never had any idea it was going to be what it is, and then it became what it is.
Do you like what it's become?
That's a good question. It's probably better if I took it down like 30%.
Okay.
30% ago is
Shave
probably
off
more
30%.
enjoyable, but it didn't have the same impact, right? So the benefit of it being where it is now, what I like is that I can promote things that I think are genuinely good and help people, and it has it's got the ability to discuss certain topics that, for whatever reason, the gatekeepers don't want discussed.
I know that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but it makes sense, right? Because most things, there's a lot of if you have an enormous platform like the Today Show or whatever it is, these platforms have all these interests that are involved in the platform. You have all these advertisers, you have executives that want to keep their jobs secure, and then you have the zeitgeist. Right, you have the zeitgeist where people believe one thing or another, and they want that reinforced, and and you have to figure out how to navigate those while having a successful show. So oftentimes, these successful shows, they're not necessarily based on someone's actual opinion. They're based on what they think the opinion of the general public is, and how do we make those people feel like we're on their side.
Yeah, no, I get it. I after I did your show, I did a little stretch of I did maybe 20 podcasts, because I like to be on the show, and I was like, this is kind of cool. You learn something, you kind of expand your mind a little bit, you bring on cool guests, and I felt after doing it, I was nervous about who I was bringing on, what I was gonna say, and I was just like, I can't really be myself, and I didn't like that because I felt it would make people. I don't know. I got self-conscious about, the zeitgeist and what you're supposed to say. And then if I brought on this person, it would be like a political thing. And I'm like, dude, I'm not political at all. I don't give a shit. But I didn't want it to cloud sort of that thing. So, kudos to you, because you got the balls and you put it on the line. And you're like, I don't care. This is what it is.
Well, people recognize that you worry about that too, and then they'll attack. That's a thing that happens with people. It's like that's a reason why kids get picked on at school, is because bullies recognize they can pick on those kids.
Sure.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's a vulnerability when people recognize that certain people. That's like you see when someone gets canceled and a bunch of people pile onto that person, a bunch of cowards. That's what they're doing. It's a natural inclination that humans have. Chickens do it. It's a pecking order. One chicken gets pecked at by a dominant chicken, and the other chickens run in and start pecking at them too. It's like a natural thing.
Yeah.
It exists in nature, and it's based on insecurity and fear and a real deep concern that one day you're going to be that chicken that gets pecked at. And so when they see someone who's worried about saying something or offending people, and then maybe you just step out of line a little bit. Maybe just take a chance a little bit and say something. Say something
about
nutty.
Denise.
Say something about Denise, and then next thing you know, the fat shamers are just coming your way. Is they recognize that there's a target, and also they're bored, and also they don't have a lot of hobbies, and so they're just coming after you. Yeah, you got to be able to navigate those waters, but I think there's a value in it. There's a value in a real value in saying what's actually on your mind. As long as you know that you're coming from a good place. You're not trying to be a piece of shit. You just have opinions on things.
Or also too, going, okay, hey, I can acknowledge that this is my opinion, but it can change.
Yes.
Let's have a discussion about that, and maybe there is a change. Maybe I have been living in an echo chamber. Maybe I have been served up this info and I don't really know the other side, or I'm not looking at it with compassion. Saying, okay, cool. I can see that side. I can see my side. Maybe there's somewhere in the middle.
For sure. This is one thing that I say all the time. I'm not married to my opinions. I'm not connected to them. They're just my opinions. I have opinions, but they're free. They're floating around. There's certain opinions that I have, hey, you shouldn't rape kids. You know what I mean? Hey, you shouldn't murder old ladies. hey, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't
Yeah.
torture dogs. Like I have all these opinions that are like real rock solid. I'll stick with them to the day I die.
Sure.
But then there's other opinions that I have that are like, you know, what should the speed limit be? Like, hey, you know, there's a lot of them about insurance and why do people get saddled down with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans when you're 21 years old? That seems kind of fucked. You know, there's a lot of opinions I have about like about debt and about minimum wage and about foreign wars and about there's a lot of opinions.
What about news? Like I feel like I think and I could be wrong, but this word news is such a powerful word. And I feel like because it used to be a public service, right? It used to be more control, it wasn't an ad, and now it's like entertainment. It's like there's all this false information out there, and it kind of freaks me out that that's not a little bit more regulated. Like, hey, if you consider yourself a news network or news, you have to be held to a higher standard. Yeah.
I think we need another beer.
Let's do it.
But this is a good subject. What is this? This is Orion? Is that what this is? This cooler? That's a fucking solid goddamn cooler. Oh, you got lagers? Do you smoke cigars, Scott Eastwood?
You want the pale ale or you want the lager?
I don't care. I'll take either one.
Try that. It's a
Do you
little
smoke
lighter.
cigars?
I do.
Oh, it's crack.
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at this. America.
Oh, wow. That is America right there.
It's all America.
Orion is an American-made cooler, and that's kind
solid
of
as fuck.
yeah. That's kind of like everything we do. Is like we try to support American businesses. So,
It's a good cooler though. It's like the lid and everything, the way it closes.
well, it's yours now.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, but what you were saying about news. Yeah, it's a very good point, man, because it's how a lot of people with mortgages and families and very involved jobs, that's how they get their information, and it's not necessarily 100% exactly what's going on.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Here, pop this bad boy in.
Ooh, it smells good.
Foundation Cigars. Shout out to them. News is entertainment, right? And one of the ways we're finding that out is right now because of the lab leak hypothesis that was openly dismissed. I mean, it was one of the things that I was mocked most about when they called me a conspiracy theorist, is that I had people on that were discussing the lab leak hypothesis, and they were saying that I was promoting dangerous conspiracy theories because there was no evidence whatsoever that COVID-19 leaked from a lab. I got another one, thank you. But now they're thinking that it probably did. And even Fauci saying he's not convinced that it came from the wild. So it's a really, like, so when all these people on the news were mocking anybody.
The news.
Yeah.
Right? It's entertainment.
It is.
These are entertainment. It's not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's like who's first, who's first to report, who's whatever. It's like, wait, did we do all the research here? Like, I mean, like you said,
Well, for the most part, what they're doing is they're reading off a teleprompter, and they're reading notes that have been prepared by producers and executives and all these different people that have an agenda. And maybe that agenda is to distribute the actual facts of a case and a situation, a story, and maybe that agenda is political. Maybe that agenda. The problem is when Trump was in office, people fucking hated him so much that anything that he talked about,
just take him down.
Yeah, well, anything he talked about, even if it was correct, they disagreed with. They did not want anything that he had to say to be a fact. So even if what he's saying was true, they would dispute it, which is terrible. Because you got to be willing to say, like, look, Trump is a moron, but he's right about this.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
There is a level 4 lab in Wuhan that's doing the exact kind of gain of function research that's working on these kind of diseases and juicing up these viruses and making them more contagious. And 3 people from that laboratory, it turns out, actually did get sick in November of 2019.
Has anyone interviewed the people from the lab, or is that not a thing?
That's a good question. they're probably in a fucking foundation of a building right now in China.
I mean, yeah, it's wild. Just in general, just the swaying of opinions and the control of whatever narrative it is on any subject. It just seems that there should be a basic standard that should be held. If you want to call yourself a news organization, great.
Yeah.
You have to be independently fact-checked before things are reported, whatever. If you get in trouble because you didn't do these things, you're held to this higher standard.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
It does seem reasonable, but it doesn't benefit the people that are in power currently, ever, right? So if the people that are in power currently are Democrats, there's no way they want to censor CNN and MSNBC. If the people are in power that are Republicans, there's no way they want to censor Fox News or OAN or Newsmax. It's like people have these perceptions based on whatever their ideology is, and they don't want to relinquish the ability to sort of manipulate these narratives. It's unfortunate. There should be the news should be completely independent of ideology. The news should be, here's what we know about this. Here's what we know about pollution. Here's what we know about overfishing. Here's what we know about climate change. And it should be completely apolitical. And everyone should be deeply invested in making sure that it's apolitical and looking at things completely objectively and saying, okay, look, I voted for Biden, but I think this is wrong. And it has nothing to do with whether or not I think the Democrats should be in control of the House. It has to do with the facts at hand. Or I voted for Trump, or I voted for Ron Paul, or whatever the fuck it is you voted for.
Do you think there'll ever be that two-party system will just get broken up? Or is there too much power where it's like, because this just seems crazy that it's like it's either this or this that really sway the sides instead of, wait, how about what if it's like a decathlon and people had to like fight to the death? Maybe not to the death.
I have a friend of mine who said he when all the COVID shit was going down, he goes, you know what? He goes, dude, I think I became a pro-choice Republican. I go, what do you mean? I go, what does that mean? He goes, like, I'm don't fit on either side. He goes, I'm like pro-choice, pro-civil rights, because also I'm pro-Republican. He's like, these fucking lockdowns are ridiculous. The Republicans have got it right. Like, give people freedom. Let them keep their businesses open. And his perspective was pretty much just economic, because he was losing his business at the time.
What was his business?
Restaurant.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, the worst. The worst. They got fucked. They got fucked so hard. They got fucked so hard that in California they were closing outdoor businesses for no reason. They were closing outdoor restaurants. There's fucking zero evidence that it was being spread outside, and they were closing those people down. And they were dying on the vine. And the thing about it that infuriates me is that the people that were in power didn't lose any money. Like if you're in charge, like if you're a mayor or whatever you are of a city, and that city loses a massive amount of income, and businesses go under based entirely on your decisions, and those decisions are very debatable. And then you look at how it is in other parts of the country where they've made different decisions and they've had massively different results and much more beneficial results for those businesses. Your pay should be completely dependent upon how much money is generated by the people in your district.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that.
Because they don't have a dog in the fight. They can shut all the businesses down. They don't lose a nickel.
Yeah, that's elitism. I mean, it's, if someone's telling someone how you got to be careful about shoulding people. I think just in general, right? You should do this. You should do that. You should close this. You should, it's like, well, unless you're hurting someone actually physically, you're doing something that's, and this is where it gets a gray area, but because, some people will say, well, but it's, it's your choice. It's you have a right to, in this country, you have a right to have your business. You have a right to make a living. You
also have a right to not go into that business if you're worried about diseases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's like, it's interesting because I don't hear people saying on the other side, it's like, if you want to if you want to wear a mask or you want to do a thing, like that's your choice. I support that 100%. Like I don't care. Like, and maybe even in a common place, like say hospitals, right? I wouldn't even care if they were like, hey, you know what? Everyone's got to wear a mask in a hospital. You want to come to a hospital? There's sick people here, whatever. It's a place of common area. I get that. Like I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of wearing masks in public places, specifically like indoor places. But it's really weird when you look at the rules where people, like in Texas, I love the fact that you go to restaurants, but I always found it so bizarre that you wear a mask until you sit down, and then you take the mask off. It's like...
It's a wild time.
It's fucking strange because it's like we're just kind of making this shit up.
Yeah.
Like no one really knows.
No one knows. No one knows.
There's a doctor on YouTube that is he's not saying don't wear a mask, but what he is saying is you need to understand that if you think that you're being 100% protected by wearing a mask, it's not accurate. And he uses a vape to show that. So he vapes and then he puts a regular mask on and blows through it and it just fucking goes right through the mask, goes everywhere. And he goes, you need to understand that COVID particles, like COVID-19 particles, like they're going to go through the air, are much smaller than the particles in this vape.
Sure.
And he's blowing it out there. He's like, you know, maybe it offers you some amount of protection. Like, there's an argument for that, right? Like the flu numbers are way down.
Yeah.
Like what were the flu numbers for 2020? Fucking
I think
crazy low.
they didn't even report any. I mean,
think
it was
there was
crazy.
20,000 deaths, which is very low from the flu. But does that mean that we should wear masks all the time
or be told that you have to? That's where the shoulding thing is. It's like you do you. You do you. I don't care. I now never judge someone. Hey, you want to take that's, you know, it's like it seemed like an overreaction. And also it seems as if it's a little arrogant to think that we control infectious disease.
Yeah.
Like since the beginning of time, it's like, well, that's a thing, and that you know, people die from infectious disease. It's gonna happen.
Well, I think it's one of those things where we weren't prepared for anything because we never experienced anything like this our whole lives.
Yeah.
Now, for the first time in 100 years, there's a legitimate worldwide pandemic, but lucky for us, it's relatively mild in comparison to some other pandemics like the Spanish flu, which killed fucking some insane amount of people.
Sure.
And also adversely affected young people. What is this,
That was
Jamie?
before
do you got here,
antibiotics, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
The U.S. saw about 600 deaths from influenza during 2020 to 2021 flu season. What? In comparison, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimated there were roughly 22,000 deaths in the prior season and 34,000 2 seasons ago. 600 deaths? Where the fuck did I read 20,000? Maybe somebody...
I've seen different numbers, but this is Scientific American reporting this.
That's crazy. So there's a good argument there that some of the things that we did during this season were good, like as general practices. Whether it's distancing or whether it's maybe it's fucking vitamins too. Here's a big one. There's a doctor that I was watching this lecture by this doctor that was making the argument that the reason why flu season exists, he said, is because in the winter months people have no exposure to sun and they have very low levels of vitamin D.
I would agree with that.
He was freaking me the fuck out. I would try to agree with that, but I'm too stupid and I don't really know if
I
he's telling
mean,
the truth.
I know how I feel. This is just like a personal anecdote. I know how I feel when I'm getting sun, when I'm getting vitamin D, and I'm working out, and I'm staying healthy. I know how I feel in winter. I feel a little slightly more depressed. I feel like I need sun. I get very pale, and you know, it's like. So I can't say, I'm not a scientist. I don't know shit. I'm gonna disclaimer. I don't know anything. Don't listen to me. But I feel better in summer.
Do you take vitamins?
I do.
You supplement
glutathione,
all
vitamin
that shit?
D,
Yeah.
magnesium, the good stuff.
Good stuff. Zinc.
Zinc.
I take
zinc, but I take breaks from zinc because it is a heavy metal, and a lot of doctors I've spoken to say you should take breaks. You should do it, and then you should like come off of it.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a heavy metal. It's zinc.
I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about mercury poisoning in fish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tuna, specifically long-living fish, have more mercury. So fish like salmon, much better for you. You know, they only live for about 4 years, their cycle of life.
Oh.
Born in a river. It's wild. This is actually the most wild fish on the
They're
planet.
amazing.
Amazing. They're born in a river. They live for 2 years in the river. Then they swim out to the ocean, live a whole life, 2 years, come back up the river, and spawn before they die in the same place
That they were born.
that they were born. I don't know how they know, but they know. And yeah,
It is pretty wild. And if you try to move them to a different river, it's fucked.
It's fucked.
It won't work.
yeah.
That was I went to Seattle once, and they had this sort of education thing about salmon, where they're explaining how salmon got fucked over because they made these dams back then, and I forget when they made the dams, but when they were damming these rivers, they didn't understand that salmon would not be able to breed, and then the salmon just went to the dam and died. And they had like a massive crash in the salmon population. That also affected the orca population because some of the orcas only eat Chinook salmon. Like they have a specific population of orca that live in the Puget Sound that only eat salmon. And they won't, they don't eat mammals. They don't eat like seals and shit like that. They've just become so accustomed to eating salmon that that's it.
Really good for you. I mean, I get it. Those orcas are smart.
I
Smart as
guess,
shit.
but they're not adaptive. And then other orcas that are they're migratory will come into the sound. And those orcas are eating seals and everything else, and they're fine. But the orcas that live primarily in the Puget Sound that exist off of salmon
Only eat
are
salmon.
fucked
Oh, because if they
the
can't get
salmon
any.
populations are dropping.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Do you eat a lot of salmon?
I eat it. I don't eat a lot of it. I eat it pretty rare. I eat mostly meat. Mostly, I eat elk. You know, that's like
Yeah.
a big part of my diet. We had
I get
We
it.
had a fucking freezer fail here.
No.
Yeah, huge disaster last week.
Oh no. All your elk?
Heartbreaking. Hundreds of pounds. Like I lost like 200 pounds of meat.
Oh, brutal.
Horrible. I have to figure out some much better backup plan in terms of power supply. I just didn't think the power was going to fail here. And
Yeah.
the power must have failed at the worst time ever during the weekend. And so we came back and just fucking smelled horrible in the garage out there.
Isn't it crazy how when you eat wild shot elk, you feel different? You
100%.
feel absolutely like more powerful, more
Yeah.
energized.
There's something in there.
There's something in there.
I don't think it's just a placebo effect either.
No, not at all. It's something maybe about too, like the elk having like a completely wild, perfect life, and then if you do it right, you kill an old bull, and that elk has lived like this great life, healthy life, done a lot of fucking, done a lot of reproducing, had a great life, and then I don't know.
Yeah. It's you're eating a super athlete.
Yeah.
I mean the color of the protein, the color of the meat is this rich dark red. It's like the other day I cooked a beef steak and then I cooked an elk steak next to it. I just wanted to mix it up. I had a little bit of both because certified Piedmontese had sent me some steaks, so I cooked one of those and I cooked an elk steak. And they have like really delicious like top end beef, but their meat is like it's such a different color. It's such a different thing. Like elk is a dark red.
It's almost like purple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just tastes different. It's like you look at the two of them together and you're like, wow, this is so. They're both delicious. They're both great, but one of them is out there hustling. One of them is out there running up mountains, and just trying to survive against mountain lions and bears and getting by. And you've been to the mountains of Utah where we hunted. I mean, that is a wild fucking place, man.
Wild.
Freezing cold and snowing, and you're hiking for miles, and you're going up into 8,000 feet above sea level, and you're encountering these gigantic wild fucking forest horses with swords growing out of their heads who fight each other to the death.
Yeah.
I mean, they fight each other to the death up there, stabbing each other with these fucking spears that grow out of their head.
And have killed humans too.
Yeah, accidentally.
Well,
You know, they only killed humans when the humans did something stupid.
but
I mean, how many humans have died by elk?
I don't know.
Pretty
but
small.
I've seen some videos online where they've charged humans and like
Listen, they
that
owe
maybe
us.
could have.
They owe us. They owe us quite a few murders.
That's true. Well, that's what I kind of think. I think it's more fair with the arrow. It's way more.
It
you're
is.
You're evening the playing field.
It is, but it requires a lot of discipline. Like, you have to really prepare and practice. You gotta, the last thing you want to do is wound an animal like
That's
that.
true.
A majestic, because they are majestic. When you see an elk scream when they make that, you're like, God, it's crazy that this is a real animal.
Yeah. No, they are. You definitely have. I actually this summer I have to shoot a lot because I've been on a movie, and so I need to just shoot every day.
Yeah, I don't fuck around. I practice constantly. The worst feeling in the world is making a bad shot, and I don't want that happening.
Yeah.
It's like everything else, like
Discipline.
you need, if you wanna do it, you gotta put in the work. But the result, people don't understand like why you're happy when you kill an animal. You're not happy that the animal died. You're not happy that you killed something. You're happy that it's successful because it's so difficult to do.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Hardest thing. Would you say? One of?
It's up there. It's up there. It's definitely hard. I tell you one thing, it gets me rattled more than anything, more than fighting, more than doing stand-up comedy. When you're at full draw and you're centering your pin and you're just trying not to freak it, because it's like you'll work for 10 months for 1 second.
Yeah.
You have to
moment in time.
release that arrow. Where
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you're not flinching, you're not moving at all, and I have a whole shot sequence that I go through in my head, and I have to make sure that I go through that shot sequence, and I have to stay as like calm and blank as possible. And then once the arrow's released and I see it hit the mark, it's like this like huge relief, excitement, but also this huge relief that you did it.
But then you're also kind of worried, like, did it go down? Is it going to go down?
Well, luckily last year I shot 2 elk and I got to watch them both drop quick. But that's, training under John Dudley and Cam Haynes and practicing in my yard, countless arrows constantly every day.
Yeah, you've had the best schooling possible.
Yeah, but you have to do the work. But doing that work when you do have that meat and you do cook that meat and you feed your family and feed your friends, it's a totally different feeling than just hot dogs.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Rolling into Safeway and
Yeah.
like, here's my steak.
And it does make you feel better, and it's way better for you in terms of protein content.
And better just ethically too. Just the way factory farming is such a machine, and we've all done it. Like
Yeah.
it's all part of.
We're talking about Five Guys burgers,
Yeah.
They're not growing those on some super ethical farm.
No.
If they are, kudos, but I doubt they are.
No, it does make you feel accomplished. Same with have you ever gotten to spearfishing?
I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to my friend Ryan Callahan. He's the same guy that was talking to me. It was on the podcast. He has this Cal's Weekend Review. It's a great podcast. But he was talking about mercury poisoning. That this one gentleman who was fishing out of this lake, all of a sudden he had like problems with his motor skills. He was a tournament angler. He'd fish a lot, so he caught a lot of fish and was eating a lot of fish, and he was having problems with his motor skills, and like he was acting like almost like he was drunk, like something was wrong with him. And he finally went to a doctor, and the doctor's like, you're fucked. Like you have like serious mercury poisoning.
Too much tuna.
It was just lake fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think freshwater fish is the worst. I think freshwater fish. Well, let's see what is the worst fish in terms of mercury poisoning.
From what I know, it's long-living fish.
Yeah,
It's long-living
bigger
fish.
ones and the predators like
Yep.
northern pike. Ryan was saying, like animals that are, or fish rather, that are killing a lot of other fish, and they've been around for 7-8 years, and
Yeah, I mean it's similar in a lot of ways to elk hunting. It's really hard. It's
these are all ocean fish.
yeah.
It's bluefish, grouper, sea bass. It says Chilean sea bass. I think is not really a sea bass. I think it's a cod. Mackerel, croaker, perch, ocean, tuna.
Yeah, and from what I know, it's more ocean fish.
Huh. Interesting.
My dad eats a lot of salmon. He's big into salmon.
Yeah, but your dad's like 100 years old. He's doing great.
He's 91.
Did he just
actually
turn yesterday?
Yeah.
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 How badass is he? He's born on Memorial Day. Bad motherfucker.
I know. He almost, oh my gosh, this is a crazy story. I don't know if you know this story, but he was about 2 seconds from being deployed to the Korean War. And he was in a plane crash off San Francisco when he was 21 years old.
Wow.
He was in the Army, and he was doing a flight somewhere. He had done some like a training flight or something. They said, "Oh, hop on this thing." And he said, "Okay, cool. Last minute, I'll go do it." He was in a plane crash. The crash landed in outside of San Francisco Bay, and because he ultimately ended up there. I think one person died. Him and the pilot or co-pilot, I can't remember, had to swim to shore, like at night,
Jesus
over
Christ.
2 miles. I want to say something crazy. And there's tons of sharks, tons of shit out there in San Francisco. And this was 1950. So at the time, my grandmother, they had told my grandmother that he had gone down in a plane crash. She thought he was dead. And there was no cell phones, there was no social media, there was no anything. It took a week for him, by the time he got back and he got back to the thing, to be able to call her after, I don't know, maybe I had to go to the hospital, I can't remember, for him to be able to call his mother and say, "Hey, I'm alive."
Wow.
And that is what kept him from going to the Korean War, because he was supposed to be deployed, but because he was in this plane crash, he had to stay and testify and do this whole thing, and they had just deployed without him.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy how one moment in time can change the whole course of someone's life?
Yeah, and a moment that's completely out of your control. There's these weird, like, sort of pathways that you come to in life, gateways, and you go left and you're okay, you go right and the trip ends.
Trip's over.
Yeah. And no one has any control over it.
And then we're just renting space.
That's the weird thing about this pandemic, is that we're forced to come to grips prematurely with the possibility of our life expiring, and people are worried about this external threat, this virus that could prematurely end your life.
Mm-hmm.
But when the dust settles, one of the good things about any sort of adverse or any sort of negative moment in life is that when things do pass, it makes you realize how good you've got it when you're not experiencing these bad things. Like, one of the things that I'm realizing now with like comedy shows and shit is that people are so happy to be out. They're so happy to go outside. They're so happy to do things. It's a different feeling. They're just so enthusiastic and so pumped up. It's like they've realized that it could all go away. For a year, everyone's locked down and scared, and things shut down, and no concerts and no movies and no this and no that. And then when it lifted, I think this is going to be the roaring 20s of the 2000s. That's what I think. And I think it's very similar in that the Spanish flu was in 1918, and that took like a year and a half to resolve, right? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and then it was the roaring 20s.
Yeah, and then it was the roaring 20s. People
were going bananas.
They got after it.
It's going to be a crazy summer.
I think it's going to be wild.
Wild.
Yeah. It's already wild in a lot of parts. Like Miami, they can't stop having mass shootings. They've had like multiple mass shootings over the last few days. It's been really crazy.
That's I don't even know what to say about that. That's just so sad.
I think people are so fucking ramped up and confused. It's going to take a while for people to settle down.
There'll probably be a lot of babies that'll come out of this.
Oh my God. People did some fucking for sure, right? There's
People, I actually talked to a lot of people who they were like the dating apps and all these things. They were
Getting
going
after
nuts during COVID.
Really?
Nuts.
Do they get tested?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Take a chance?
I'm
So
sure
one
there
thing
was
to take a
lot
chance
of-
with, like, herpes. It's another thing to take a chance with fucking something that'll kill you.
Yeah, it's true.
Or during the AIDS days, I remember I got my first AIDS test when I think I was 24, and I was so scared. Because I was a comedian, I did some terrible things. So I started thinking about ridiculous encounters I had with random strangers on the road, weird nights,
Sure.
like, should I wear a condom? Fuck it. I had 2 cocktails in you.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
start thinking, oh my God, what if I have it? What if it happened when I didn't have it? I was like, oh, the relief.
And then like a week later, you're
But I didn't.
back to your same antics.
People kept doing. People didn't. Like, I guess there was like higher risk groups, right?
Sure.
And they probably took more precautions, but people didn't. People follow their genes, their instincts. They make terrible decisions.
You mean when you say instincts as humans, just
Yeah,
to
breeding animals.
breeding,
Yeah,
right?
breeding animals.
To survive the species. It's like,
It's the reason why there's so many of us. Because when the call of nature comes, it's very difficult to say no.
yeah.
Yeah, very difficult for people to say no. Young and stupid, young, dumb, full of cum. That's what it is.
Do you think it's the same? I have multiple sisters, and I can ask them this, but do you think it's the same with women? Do you think they feel the same urge? Or
I'd like to know. I don't think I'd want a guy to fuck me, but I would like to be a woman for a day.
Just
I'd like
to-
to feel it. If there was a mind swap thing, where like you and your wife could like swap brains, just want to, and you knew that in 24 hours you'd go back to being you, but you could feel what it's like to have a woman's, and not, obviously all women are different, but at least one woman's perspective on life, one woman's the way they feel. Like men have testosterone and we're prone to violence and prone to aggression, and it would be interesting to feel what it's like to be around them and not be one of them, Like it's interesting to be around women, right? To not know what it's like. We can only imagine what it's like to want to have a baby inside of our bodies. It's literally you're just guessing. I can't imagine. But so many women want to have, there's a reason why there's 7.5 billion people, because these women have this urge and they want to have children. You talk to so many women, not all of them obviously, but a lot of women want to have children. There's not a single man that I know that wants to have a baby grow inside of his body.
No. Why do you think men, why are we so, why do we feel that need to be warriors? Why is that? Is that a resource thing? Do you think? So like if there was just women all around, just hanging around, there's a ton of abundance of women everywhere, and it was, would we be calmer?
Maybe. I think there's a lot of ways to look at this, but I think one of the ways to look at this is that the reason why things keep getting better, like in terms of more innovation, in terms of the progress of society and culture, one of the reasons why, and there's many reasons, but one of them is competition. And I don't think men are ever going to stop competing. I think if there's more women, and you're going to want a specific woman. You're going to want the best woman. You're going to see this woman that maybe this other guy has, and you're going to think, why does he have her? And you're going to say, well, I need to get better so I can be more attractive to her. I need to get more wealthy or stronger or whatever it is. I need to become more interesting. And I think that's one of the reason why, I mean, it's a big part of why men are really good at, some men are really good at conversation and really good at it's not just it's one of the reasons, right? There's many, like some conversation's interesting. It's interesting to like when I talk to a guy like a John Donaher or something like that, it's really good at conversation. It's fascinating. I love it. I enjoy it very deeply just from an intellectual standpoint. But I think there's something impressive about someone who can do that. A guy who can do that at a party or something like that. I bet ladies are like,
Wield their
"Wow,
words and
yes, look at this motherfucker.
Ooh.
Like, he could run the
got
nation.
game. Yeah.
He's got game." And I think it's a part of the whole competition process to spread your genes and to spread your genes to the best possible candidate. You know, it's a weird thing that exists in nature. You know, like animals puff up their chests and they parade around. And someone sent me a video of a peacock. Look at this fucking. I'm gonna send you this video, James. Oh, you see it? It's amazing.
it's mating. It's trying to mate at that point.
It's
or
just
it's like
showing its feathers in this video, but it's viral currently. But it's so spectacular, and you realize like that's exactly it. Watch this peacock do this. Put its feathers up and throw them away. That's the If You High. That's exactly where I got it from. If You High on Instagram. Look at that fucking thing.
Is that a male or a female?
Yeah, it's all males. The females look like dog shit. The females look like a pigeon.
Wow.
The males are just, look, that's the female behind it. She's like, what? What do you got there? What? 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 You ever hear the sound they make?
Yeah.
It's a,
We have some peacocks actually up at my dad's ranch.
oh, do you really?
They're incredible.
Hunter Thompson had a bunch of them that he used to use as like watchdogs.
Really?
Yeah, he kept them on Iowa Farm. They would fucking scream whenever anybody got close.
Really?
Peacocks are like really good watchdogs. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They don't like anybody showing up. Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to get laid. Yeah, see if you can find a sound of peacocks.
Peacocks doing
Sound
it.
they make.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
mean, that had to evolve out of nature, right? Like those eyeballs in the feathers. What is
Of course,
that?
that plays music.
It is music too, along with the screaming.
Peacock
Intro
chases
to
and
a
harasses
70s porn or
a mailman like a dog.
bow, 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 bow.
Exactly, sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, you come around here often? do 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 do.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Whoa.
Fuck. All right.
That's it. Look how pretty he is.
You dirty little hooker.
That
you.
is a pimp dinosaur. Look at him. Look at that pimp outfit. Great. Is that the female? Boring ass looking basic bitch. Look at, he's got a tractor. Look
Oh,
at that
yeah.
crazy display a peacock puts on. It's pretty wild.
That is wild.
But that's the thing, right? It's like they're competing for resources and for mating.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it obviously hasn't pushed innovation in the peacock community. There's still just peacocks.
Still doing it.
There's not a female peacock, by the way. It's a peahen.
Oh.
Hence the
Peahen.
cock.
Obviously. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
It's
Now I know. Oh.
so I spent some time.
Oh, interesting.
I spent some time in Hawaii growing up, and it's interesting to see because it's an island, or because you're on an island. There's limited resources, and in turn, I find that it's a slightly more warrior society still. And I wonder if that's just a female male, like strictly like, hey, there's less females here. It's just a matter of numbers, right? If we had an abundance of females, then would we be like so postured and wanting to?
Well, they come from a warrior culture too, right? The Polynesians
true.
are badass motherfuckers. You know, like that's a warrior culture that made it to that island. You got to think of the crazy trip that they made, thousands of miles, in these handmade
By the stars.
boats.
By the stars. What ballsy motherfuckers.
So ballsy.
Right?
I love Hawaii. I love the Hawaiian people. I mean, they're some of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport of UFC.
Yeah.
BJ Penn, Max Holloway. I mean, beasts.
Beast.
You know, there's so many great fighters have come from Hawaii. It's a wild place, but you're making a really good point. It's an interesting question, right? Limited resources. What was it like when you were living there?
I was there from about age 7 to 15 or 16, and so it was like my formidable years. I was a white boy, as what they call a haole boy.
Yeah.
And I was the minority. I was the kid who shouldn't be there.
Did they accept you eventually, or?
Sports was a big one. I played football, and in the beginning they were like, "Get the fuck out of here, Howley," you know. And I was young enough where they probably couldn't kick me off the team, so I stuck around, and when they sort of saw that I was part of the team and I was willing to put in work, then they started accepting me. But then what was weird was we would go to other schools to play other games against other teams, and those teams didn't know me, so they were like, "Fuck you, Howley." And then my team had my back.
Oh.
It was like I had transcended.
You were on the team.
I was on the team. I was part of the boys.
Right.
So it's like sports has a weird way of transcending that sometimes, because you have a common goal together.
Right. Especially if you prove your merit on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, tribal shit is unfortunate, but it seems again to be a part of that whole competition aspect. You know, the competition, this component of human life where people are trying to compete over resources and trying to win, trying to get ahead, I mean, especially if you look at it like generationally, right? Like when you're young, you're trying to be, better than the other kids that you're growing up with. As you get older, you're competing against other adults. When you're a young man, you look at a successful older man, like I want to do what that guy's doing, and there's like this comparative thing and this competition thing, and it's just an inherent part of human life.
Success too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, or what we consider success is, right? Which is a weird thing. It's like we sort of equate it to money and like how you climb the social ladder, which I kind of hate, but it's part of it, I guess. It's part of the equation, because if you have resources, you're able to then have a family, have a better life, feed your family, so on and so forth.
It's also perception. When someone sees a very successful person, it's so difficult to attain. Like if you see like, fill in the blank. You see Kanye West, right? Flying around on private jets, doing these giant arena concerts, and it becomes this thing where you're looking at it like, how does one get to where that guy is? Like it becomes this this goal that doesn't seem to be attainable. And
it's like, as you know, Hollywood, it's not about the truth, it's about perception. It's like when someone uses you as clickbait, or says, "Oh, he said this," or "He is this." They paint you in this corner. "Oh, he's this. He's flying on private jets." Like that's maybe not the truth all the time. That's just like a little thing.
Yeah, it's an attack vector, as Elon Musk always likes to put it. Yeah, that crazy fucker doesn't even own a house anymore because he's like, it's an attack vector.
An attack vector.
I'm gonna sell everything I have. He's just like, get rid of all his houses. Like, bro, you're still the richest man on earth. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand like the logic behind it, but yeah, but it's.
What's it like going out with him?
He's an interesting cat. It's cool to hang out with. He's really nice. He's really friendly, like very down to earth, which is weird to say. But for a guy who is one of the richest men alive and one of the most brilliant people that's ever lived, and one of the most innovative in terms of, the guy's running multiple businesses that are completely evolutionary simultaneously. I mean, he's running a rocket business while he's running an electric car business, while he's running a business that makes tunnels under the earth and it is to try to eliminate traffic congestion.
Yeah, I love that, by the way.
Yeah, while he's making solar panels, and just like it's wild. He's a wild cat. While he's putting satellites in the sky that's going to give high-speed internet connections to the whole world. But he's real friendly. He's like easy to talk to. He has zero ego. Like he's easy to talk to. Like that's the best way I describe him. Like he's really like And I've since he's did my podcast originally, we've become friends, and I've hung out with him a few times, and hung out with him at comedy shows and all kinds of other stuff with him. The last time he did the podcast, he was like real loose and silly with me and fun.
Sure.
Because he likes me. We're friends. It's easy.
Yep.
And he doesn't, I think he's like,
KG.
it's got to be weird being the smartest man alive, or one of the smartest men alive.
Well, also you're responsible for all these people's jobs now.
Yeah.
And then if you do something or the company goes bad or it goes south, all these people are relying on you for employment.
Yes.
It's a lot of responsibility.
And people are constantly attacking him, but it makes sense. It's like in the thing of like people attacking me. I get it. Like, I get it, man. It makes sense.
Why do you get it? Like, I don't understand why. The thing is, I don't understand why they've put this, we're going to attack him and we're going to use this as our conduit to, it's like, no, it's like, you're a reasonable guy. You're not like saying crazy shit.
It's kind of crazy. Some of the things I say are pretty crazy.
But a lot of times you say it for fun, too.
Yeah.
Like, you say it to make jokes.
But it's also that there's an unusual thing happening, right? That this has never happened before, where independent people, an independent, what do you call this podcast, a media entity, whatever you want to call it, is as big as anything else that's out there. It's not normal. Usually those things that are independent are small, and they're like underground. They're like weird little things that people might like or might not like, and you tell your friends about it. It's kind of cool to pay attention to, but it's not something that has the same kind of impact that an NBC show has, or a CNBC show. It's weird. It's weird for them. They don't know what to do with it. So they get upset that this one person can say cunt, and they can't say cunt. If they say cunt, they get fired. We can discuss all kinds of different taboo words and use them and say, why is this word okay? And
it's a good word, by the way.
There's going to come a time. There's going to come a time in the not so distant future, I believe, where we're going to be able to read each other's minds. I don't think it's going to be any more than 50 years. And
really?
Yeah. And I think inside of that 50 years, there's going to be a technology that exists that's going to allow people to see intent, like real intent. And it's going to clean up a lot of the problems that we have. This is my utopian vision of what technology is going to offer people. I think there's a lot of deception that comes with language and charisma and media and broadcasting. You see it on CNN all the time. You see the way these people talk, and it's like sort of insincere, sort of scripted lingo. You see it on a lot of different broadcasts, and it's not their fault. It's just what the job is. That's what the job is. It's what the job always been.
Yeah.
If you want to be one of those people, you have to do that.
You have to eat shit and say what they...
You have to pretend. You have to do this thing. You have to follow. Isn't it crazy that they don't disagree? They all follow the same narrative. That is crazy, right?
That's crazy.
It's because that's the job. That's the gig. You fit into this slot, and it's a well grooved, well oiled pathway, and you stick with it. And it doesn't entertain any deviations from the ideology. You have to stay inside that well grooved pathway. But I don't think that's going to be forever. I think things like this and things like
more decentralized.
Yeah,
you mean? With like how crypto is becoming this weird controversial thing where it could possibly shift the internet in the sense that you no longer need like a middleman, right? You need like a banker or a escrow company if you want to buy a house.
Exactly.
You could just be like, no, I'm going to trade you this. It's personal. It's private. No one can stop me.
It's decentralized. Yeah.
That's what you are.
I think that's what the future is going to be, more of that, because there's a lot of like really quality people out there that are doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing, but better, in that they're doing it in very specific ways. Like I'm a generalist, right? I'm talking about all kinds of shit, and I'm not really an expert. And I'm an expert in like a couple of things. Like if you want to talk to me about like MMA or stand-up comedy, I can give you like an expert opinion. If you want to talk to me about some other things, I'm just talking shit. I don't know what I'm saying.
Sure.
But there's going to be a lot of people that are experts in, like, independent experts in all sorts of things,
Does big money, big corporations try to take those people down? Is that why you think maybe they're Sometimes after you.
I think competition is always people always try to take down competition, right? Like if someone is if you're competing for resources, someone's always going to try to take down competition. And if you're one of those legacy media outlets and you see some independent organization that is thriving and now does much, like Rising with Crystal and Sagar, which is like one of my favorite internet political shows. They do 3 times the numbers of like conventional television shows. Yeah. But it's not discussed. But if you look at the numbers on YouTube, you look at the numbers that they pull in, they do crazy numbers because they're independent. Because there's shows called Rising, but they actually went independent today, right?
No, I was going to say that. I know they had an announcement of some sort.
I think it's today. See if you can pull that up. Okay. I think today's the day they went independent officially because they left this. But even what they were doing before was independent. But now they're independent of the organization. They're like meta independent. You know, it's that people like that, they exist. You know, whether it's Kyle Kalinske or Jimmy Dore, there's a lot of those people that exist out there that they have educated, informed perspectives, and they're independent of these media conglomerates. And I think that's probably the future of the truth, because it's very difficult to get the truth if there's hundreds and hundreds of people that rely on you not telling the truth. Here we go. Proud to announce, this is Sagar and Getty. It's, how do you say it? Is it Jetty and Jetty? Sorry, Sagar. Here we go. Proud to announce breaking points with Crystal and Sagar. Help us beat, all caps, corporate media today. We don't have billionaires backing our high-end TV production, but we are putting our faith in you. Become a premium member today for $10 a month. Oh, they're doing the money thing. Be a premium member, and then they'll do it naked. That's what I heard. I heard they do the show naked.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You see, I mean, what's going on with this movement? I have never been on OnlyFans, never even seen it. I just hear people talking about it.
It's a pro-ho movement, and I'm all in favor.
You're all in favor of it?
That's where it's taken off. But yeah, there are people sneaking in there doing other things too.
Yeah, doesn't
wait, in OnlyFans?
Craig Jones has an OnlyFans jersey that he wears when he has a rash guard that he wears when he competes.
Yeah, it was supposed to just be an alternative to Patreon that the porn industry took over because they had a lot of problems with receiving money through credit cards and other websites.
Really?
A lot of accounts got hacked, or not hacked, but like disappeared. So this was a good alternative.
When I say pro-ho, I say it with all due respect. I'm not calling them hoes. They're just naked people. I think, why not?
No, I mean, look, if I was your girl, body, your choice. Do whatever you want.
If I was a girl, I can make $100,000 a month just showing my tits. Why not?
Yeah. I saw some tits the other day at Barton Springs. I mean,
did you really?
Yeah, girls were just tan and topless.
Really?
Yeah.
Bold.
Why not?
Bold.
They do it in Europe all the time.
Right.
It's like we make it taboo, right? As a society, we make things. We come up with our own set of rules. Like, hey, well, that's not okay, but this is.
Right. Well, why are male tits okay, but females are not? Right. That was the thing in New York City. Like in New York City, they passed a rule that allowed women to be topless if they so choose. Yeah. Very few women wanted. Obviously, you're going to get harassed by shitheads if you walk around with your boobs hanging out. But
yeah. Also, it's cold in New York half the year. So.
Well, here's a perfect example. This is an example. Elliot Page, who used to be Ellen Page, is now Elliot Page, took a topless photo, the first trans topless photo as a trans man, and everybody published it. They're like, it's okay. The same nipples that would have been absolutely taboo. It's a really interesting way to address this, right? Because the same nipples that existed on him when he was a she are now okay to see, right? On Instagram.
Wow. I don't even know what to think about that.
Right. It's weird. It's look, I love it. I love disruptive things, when things just like a monkey wrench gets thrown into the gears of life and you're like, what? Okay. All right, we're doing this now.
Yeah. It's not boring.
Yeah. And he's got fucking crazy abs. Have you seen his abs?
Who's got crazy abs?
Elliot Page.
Oh, really?
All he's doing is like sit-ups, I guess. just fucking
Hey,
jacked abs.
core work, man.
Look at
It's
those
important.
abs. Look at those abs, dude. Seriously.
Oh yeah.
What's going on there? There's a lot of speculation, but those abs are. You had to take it down quick. Are you worried? We're gonna get in trouble.
I don't know.
What do you?
Are
have
we
to-
gonna get in trouble?
No, I don't think so. But
What do you?
It's a guy.
Hey, what are you doing? You have to pee in this.
You go
thing.
pee. Go pee, bro.
I'll be back.
We'll talk about Elliot's abs.
It's a lot of abs, a lot of crunches.
I wish I had abs like those. I mean, what's happening there?
I don't know. I was trying. It's only ab work. Some
It's-
shoulders, but
Some people don't think they're real.
what do you mean?
You can get ab implants. Do you know about those?
Yeah, that's tough though.
What's tough?
How would you do that? I
Oh.
slide them in there.
Well, he got
Like
top
pieces of
surgery.
plastic?
See the scars?
Yeah.
That's where he got his breast removed, and then I mean, this is just fucking haters. I mean, maybe I don't know. Like if I was being a hater, I'd look at those and go, "There's no way. Those aren't real."
I know. I mean, but
I'm being a hater right now.
I know. That's why I was trying to like.
Do you wish you had abs like those? Would you
course.
be willing to get surgery to get fake abs though?
Why? No.
No?
What would happen when you bend over? It would like all crumple up and like. Is it silicone?
That's a good question. Let's
is
see
it
what it
hard?
looks like.
Ab
Google fake abs.
Fake ab.
Because I know that's a fact. Because I saw a woman with one of those on one of these cosmetic surgery fail videos, where this female bodybuilder had
I
fake
think I
abs.
just saw a picture. That one.
Are all these fake abs? Whoa, those are fake? Oh my god. Okay, so that's a thing now. Silicone ab implants.
Yeah.
Look at this guy in the far left down there in the lower.
This one.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I've
That's
seen
insane.
Something else recently about I don't know where it's coming from. I should probably look it up first. But there's a they're working on the pill to like work out in a pill coming soon.
Work out in a pill.
Yeah.
What kind of pill?
Yeah, they're making workout pills.
They've been doing that for a long time.
See, that guy has fake abs with red hair. They give you
Really?
fake abs. Yeah. They just add stuff.
You got to do the work. You got to do the work.
Well, those don't look real. The Elliot Page ones look real. Those look like, hey.
I got fake abs.
Yeah. But it's a thing. Like, fake boobs don't bother anybody.
Yeah.
How come you can have fake boobs, you can't have fake abs?
Fake ass. Fake boobs.
Yeah. How come dudes
Fake
can't have
lips?
fake dicks? They can't, though.
Why not?
I don't know. Maybe they can.
Just like slide a
They
thing
do a
in there?
thing. Yeah, we covered it once. There's like a sheath that they put. They like. It's uncomfortable to even
I
talk
see
about.
another picture with his abs, and they're strong.
Pre-jacked?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, it's a good,
Pre.
yeah, I think so.
Oh, but that's a big difference, bro. That is a giant difference. Look at the difference between those and those. See, the difference is the mass.
Also the lighting.
Right. But also the mass.
also the
I was
lighting.
trying to. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you're being kind.
Yeah.
It's the mass. The mass is they're very thick.
I did a movie with when she was Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like 10, 15 years ago. 10, 12 years ago. So,
Yeah, there's an article that came out today about some sort of a soy product that they've experimented with fish to turn male fish into females. They've actually been able to turn male fish into females. I read it this. I didn't even look at it. I looked at it like I was taking a shit, and I was looking at my phone. I was like, "What is this?"
changing fish gender.
Yeah, I think that's the future. I think with CRISPR and stuff like that. You know, when I said I'd like to be a woman for a day,
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be not just a trans woman, like where you still have XY chromosome. I think eventually one day science will be able to change your actual physical sex, not just your gender, like how you recognize and how you identify, but you'll be a woman. You'll be able to have babies. Scott
No
Eastwood.
way. Really?
Yeah.
You think
Maybe
they can
one
do
day.
that?
Maybe one day you'll be in this chair 10 years from now holding your baby and you go, bro,
Never
life's
say
been
never.
weird. Life's been weird.
That would be wild.
I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to overcome a lot of the boundaries of biology. Because I think that's just part of the thing that scientists are, when scientists are examining life, right, and they're trying to figure out like what makes this happen, what makes that happen, what can we manipulate, and CRISPR has allowed them to start to go through this barrier of manipulating biology and changing genes and changing the way genes and initially they're going to do it for all sorts of like positive reasons, like to be able to eliminate Alzheimer's and various diseases, but I think eventually they're going to get to the point where they're going to manipulate people and make them super athletes, and then they're going to be able to manipulate people and change their gender. I mean, the science doesn't exist currently, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that it could happen in 50 years or 100 years from now. If you go 100 years now, 100 years ago, bring someone an iPhone, they'd think you're a fucking wizard. They'd be like, "Who are you? What have you done?" Go 200 years ago.
It's true.
Show someone a big screen television. Show someone that TV. They'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" But if you went 200 years ago from like 1500 to 1300, it ain't much difference. You know?
Sure.
How much difference is it? Someone made a better horseshoe.
Someone made a wheel.
Yeah. Oh, look at what I got. I got a better saddle. Like, not a lot of innovation. But the difference between 1821 and 2021 is insane.
Insane.
It's almost
Nuclear power?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How about the fucking Nimitz? Can last for how long with that power?
50 years?
What the fuck?
It's crazy.
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 Yeah.
You remember when you used to live in California, but they had nuclear power right there on the water.
San Diego.
In San Clemente.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
What?
And I mean, it's just
what if that
crazy.
goes bad?
That's scary.
Well, like Fukushima. I remember when Fukushima hit and the backup thing, they had like power and then backup power, and they both went out, and now it's fucked.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do about that spot. Like they're trying to like contain it. They have all these ideas about like freezing the ground around it and adding in these like cold cells and like what's the current status of the Fukushima failed reactor? Because when those tsunamis came in and wiped out all the power and the nuclear plant went down, that whole place is fucked forever. Like as long as they've been people,
like Chernobyl, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
fucked.
it still has radiation.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. And they've got like radioactive wolves running around there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Shane Smith from Vice told me he was out there once. And he's like, dude, they got radioactive wolves. They don't even
Dude, it's crazy what we can do. I mean, what the human mind has been able to figure out, molecular biology, or just the science, putting that shit together. I mean, that's shooting atoms at each other.
Right.
We didn't even know about that 200 years ago.
I know. It's amazing. And it's amazing that people are so much smarter than us. That's what's really amazing. Like when I talk to someone like Elon or someone like, someone who's like a real genius, it's so interesting to talk to someone whose brain works so much better than yours. Like, wow. Like, look at you out there contributing to the future of mankind.
Was he like a voracious reader when he was a kid? Is that how he...
I think it's voracious.
Voracious?
You don't even know the words.
See, there you go. Ferocious.
I don't know, maybe.
Sounds
Japan
cool too, though,
plans to
ferocious.
release treated radioactive water from Fukushima into the sea in 2 years. Oh, good idea. That's how Godzilla got started, you fucks. You guys made Godzilla, and you're going to do this? The decision, long speculated but delayed for years due to safety concerns and protests, came out of a meeting of cabinet ministers who endorsed the ocean release as the best option. The accumulating water has been stored in tanks in the Fukushima Daiichi plant since 2011, when a massive earthquake and tsunami damaged its reactors, and their cooling water became contaminated and began leaking. Fuck.
It's wild.
Yeah, they're putting it in tanks right now. Fuck. Imagine working there. Fuck all that. So they're going to release the water. Great. I thought some of it was leaking already.
Has been.
I don't know.
They have 1.3 million tons will be released, or will be full around the fall 2022. So they're going to have to start.
Apparently, though, with modern... The problem is, a lot of these reactors, and I've talked to people that actually understand nuclear power, a lot of these nuclear reactors are old technology, and that there's been a hesitancy of adopting nuclear technology that's better and more innovative, but it's actually, according to, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? But according to people that understand it, what they said to me was that it's a better way to get electricity. It's better than coal plants.
Cleaner,
It's yeah, it's cleaner.
As long as it doesn't go bad.
As long as it doesn't kill everybody. Yeah.
Risk versus reward.
But it stands to reason that they could innovate and make it better and safer.
Yeah.
I don't want to live next door to it, though. Or do I? Maybe I'll get superpowers. That's the thing that nobody ever talks about. In the comic books, radiation gives you Spider-Man, the Hulk, and
That's right.
all
That's
those
right.
other superheroes, right? No?
But I don't think that's not how it works.
Says who?
3 Mile Island?
Yeah, but that
Right.
was one time.
Okay.
That was
just-
one time. That's one time.
What about Bruce Banner in his lab? What about
That's
Spider-Man?
true, the Hulk. That's the Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, that one didn't work either. How many have gone bad? It's only been a few. Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, Fukushima. Is it only 3?
Do we still have a ton of nuclear power in this country, or have we decommissioned a lot of it?
That's a good question. How do you decommission it? Some of them you can't shut off,
It's like you started a monster, right?
which is hilarious. Like, imagine starting something and not knowing how to shut it off. Like, how are you going to shut it off? They'll figure that out eventually.
That's the map. I was trying to look around how many we have right now. There's a lot.
Wow, there's a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot. It looks like you got to move to Wyoming, bro. Oh, is that Columbia, Missouri? What's up there? No, what is that? Montana?
I think these are just pointing.
What is
to-
that upper left-hand corner one?
That
What
one?
state is
Washington.
that? Is that Washington?
Yeah, Washington.
Okay, and that is Montana? No,
That's Idaho.
Idaho.
Oregon, Idaho.
And which one's That's
That's
Wyoming.
Montana. That's Montana.
That's
Square.
Montana.
Square is Wyoming.
Oh,
Yep.
square.
Mm-hmm. Square.
There's only a couple squares.
Yeah, there's only
Isn't that
two
weird?
squares.
Kind of square.
Some of them are funky.
They're talking about a 51st state, right?
What is that going to be? DC?
Yeah.
Is
DC.
that? But that's just for political purposes to fuck over the rest of the country.
Is it?
I think the idea is that DC is wholly democratic. It's a very democratic area, and if they could have one more state, it would
Then they
shift things over.
Got it.
But if that's a state, Texas should be like 30 states, because it's so small. Like, how small is DC? It's fucking
Probably
tiny.
pretty small. But how big is a state like California? Then California would have to be like 6 states, right?
They've talked about doing that. They've talked about making California at least 2 states.
North and south.
Isn't it funny that the United States has really only been around for a very short period of time? Like, I had a joke in my act that the United States has been around since 1776. People live to be 100. I'm like, that's 3 people ago. It's really only 3 people ago. 3 people ago, there was like nothing.
Yeah. My dad was born in 1930,
That's crazy.
before World War II,
That's crazy.
which is nuts.
What is it like talking to him? First of all, what is it like being Clint Eastwood's son and also being a movie star yourself? That's got to be weird.
Look, I'm stumbling through it just like anyone else in life. You know, you're taking the information you have, trying to make the best decisions at the time. Speaking to my dad, it's like there's a wealth of knowledge in Fort Knox, and you're trying to just like pull little slivers out when you speak to him, because he'll just say things casually like, yeah. And everyone shuts the fuck up like at dinner, finally you'll know he's about to say something. And then he'll say, yeah, well, that was, back in the 60s, I was with Frank Sinatra at that place at the time. And, oh, yeah, we met her in the thing. And you go, wait, what? Did you just say you were with Frank Sinatra? Wait, hold on. Let's stop. Like, more, give us more. And then he'll be on to something else, and you can't get it out of him. But it's like he's just lived this incredible life.
Incredible.
So it's I'm trying to right now. I'm trying to just soak up every piece of knowledge I can from him, listen to him, sit with him as much as possible. So I know he's not going to be around forever, and that's terrifying, to think about. But it's like, oh man, I got to like spend every moment I can.
Does he exercise?
Yeah, he's super active. Obviously he's 91, so.
How old are you?
35.
So he had you way late in life.
But he had 3 kids after me.
Whoa. What's the youngest?
The youngest is
2.
20.
20?
He has had some younger wives.
He has a 20-year-old kid?
Yeah, 23.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Shooting live rounds deep into his 60s.
Machine gun rounds.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was that newscaster lady, right? Was that her?
It was. It
Yeah.
was. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
She's great, actually. She was great. But yeah. He had a few younger ladies around.
He's such a throwback.
Yeah.
He really is.
And what's interesting though is like what people think about him. They think they see this bigger than life character, but he's so much more complex than what you see in the movies he's in. There's a lot of nuance. It's like humans, It's like I'm sure
all humans.
People would think about you just because of whatever, and they're like, oh, well, he's this thing. It's like they don't know about your personal life. They don't know about how you are with your kids, how you are, how you think, esoterically about things, and when you're speaking to your wife, like he's like much different than just that. He's got a lot of shades, and he's very, I think, middle of the road. A lot of things he looks at issues and says, well, this is that and this that, and maybe there's a middle ground, and I don't know.
Well, there's always this urge to dismiss people, any person. You have this reductionist perspective of who that person is, and it's hard to just be curious, and it's just to say, abandon all your preconceived notions and go, imagine being that guy. Like, imagine being Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Imagine
lived a lot of lives. Lived a lot of lives.
Did you ever talk to him about what it was like to be the mayor of Carmel?
He was the mayor when I was a young kid. I was a few years old. I think he had his fill of politics. That was it. Because they asked him, they were kind of like, well, you've been the mayor now. Why don't you, go for governor? And he's like, nah, this shit ain't for me.
Just gave it a shot.
Yeah, it was, I think it was good. He did what he did, but you can never please everybody. There's always someone pissed off. There's always some conflicting point of view.
Always. Did you ever talk to him about that time that he pretended Obama was sitting next to him? And he was on the podium. And that was bizarre.
It was.
It's like impromptu. Like he just was winging it.
He was winging it.
Yeah.
He was doing a bit. He was
What a
working.
crazy thing to do.
Well,
on TV, live.
I mean, you do the same thing more or less. Like,
yeah, but I do it in comedy clubs. And
but
everybody
what's the
knows what I'm
difference,
doing.
right? It's like you go out, you practice material, you're working material out.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
you're getting up in front of people doing something. It's like we call it different because it's like, oh, well, that was that thing. But
I guarantee you Obama would not have said the things that he thought Obama would have said. Obama would have probably had some pretty nuanced perspectives himself.
sure. Yeah.
Again, same sort of thing that people wanted to do to him or want to do to other folks. Like he was kind of doing it to Obama.
Look, maybe he didn't work out his material.
No, I'm sure he didn't. But it was a bold choice. I was like, wow, how badass is Clint Eastwood?
I mean, I'm sure you've gotten up there and you're like, damn, I didn't work this material out good enough.
All the time.
It's bombing.
Well, that's the way you find out if anything's any good. Like, you have to put yourself in these weird pressure situations. I remember when I was first starting out at the Comedy Store, Damon Wayans used to come there. And one of the things that Damon used to do, Damon is probably like one of the most underrated comedians of all time, in my opinion, because I've seen that guy when he was at his peak, and he was a monster. But then he went on to do a bunch of sitcoms and movies and stuff, and he kind of, people don't think of him as a stand-up anymore, but stand-ups do. They think of him as like, he's one of the greats. He really is. And what he would do is he would go on stage, and he didn't give a fuck if there's 100 people in the room or 1,000 people in the room or 10 people in the room. He would go on stage and he would just work out ideas. Didn't worry at all whether or not those ideas were bombing. And it's like people were waiting for him to say something funny. And then he would catch fire. He would find something, and that thing would become hysterical. And we'd all be crying, laughing. And then
he would exploit that thing.
He would fuck around with it. And then he would come up with, and then he would have like these other lulls where he was trying to work some stuff out. And then he would catch fire with that. But he recorded all of his sets. Damon is recorded. I had a conversation with him about this at the Improv in Hollywood. He said he's recorded all of his sets since the 90s. So every set he's done, he brings a camera on a tripod. He sets it up in the back of the room, and he films all of his sets, and he edits them all on his computer. So he has hard drives filled with all these sets, and then he goes over them, and then he goes over them, and he dissects them. And those brilliant moments where he catches fire, he'll take those, and he'll turn those into bits, and then they'll become like these killer chunks on stage. His HBO special, The Last Stand, is, in my opinion, one of the greatest specials of all time. It's definitely like top 100 specials ever. It's brilliant.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to check it out.
And it's one of those things where he just would work out all that material and then find these beats and then take those beats and dissect them and put them aside. But when he was on stage fucking around, like he was trying to accomplish something. And it was like trying to find where's the funny. And he was thinking out loud in front of an audience. It's a very dangerous thing to do, like very, very bold thing to do. But
vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Very vulnerable. But he would do it. That's how he worked out. And then you would see him do a set where everything was like tight and polished. It would make you like realize the wisdom of his approach, because he would go and do this set where everything was tight and polished and would just smash. And he had these brilliant ideas, and they would all be condensed and shortened, and the economy of words. And he knew where the beats were, and then he'd be like, "Wow!" He turned it into magic. Like he figured out how to do it. But very few guys will do. Chris Rock used to work out like that too. He used to go out on stage and just like let these uncomfortable silences exist and find the beats and find the jokes.
You don't work like that?
I fuck around a little bit, but not as much as those guys do. Those guys would go, but it's a different time. Like when Chris was doing this, like it was in like the early 2000s or the late 90s, and same with Damon was in the 90s. So I saw him do that. It's like the world is a different place now in terms of like the expectations that people have for stand-up comedians. It's like you gotta entertain these fucking people.
You mean if you're caught on film not killing it?
It's not just even caught on film. It's just like people. They just have different expectations because of the internet. Like back then, you couldn't have a set. Like back then you could have a set and you could do that set for years. Now you can't, because you do an HBO special or you do a Netflix special, and now everyone knows that material. So you have to have new material. So now everyone turns over their material much quicker, and they're much more aware of people watching. So I think they spend more time polishing these ideas up before they initially bring them to the stage. And I think one of Damon's workout methods and Chris Rock's workout methods were like just do these things in front of people and and people knew, like the connoisseurs, the guys that love comedy would sit there and watch, knowing that eventually this was going to be on an HBO special. You were there to see it. And Richard Pryor did that too. If you go back and listen to Richard Pryor's old cassettes, there's some of them that are available from the Red Fox Comedy Club, and you could find them online. But I bought them from a gas station one day in like the 90s, these cassette tapes, and they were all like him at Red Fox's Comedy Club, and it was just him. Like you could hear drinks clinking, you could hear things in the background and ice and shit, and you could hear people talking, and it was just like this small crowd where he was just fucking around. And that's where a lot of like his most brilliant bits came from.
Interesting.
So it's similar to what your dad was doing, but different.
Hey, look, I don't pretend to speak for him. That's, his thing.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's Clint Eastwood, And you know what? One of the things I love your dad did, Unforgiven, because like he went back and made like this I mean, he did all those great spaghetti westerns, all those amazing, and they call them spaghetti westerns for people who don't know because they did them in Italy. They did
That's
a lot,
right.
yeah. And so he did all these American western films, but they were all done in Italy, and they were all like, people didn't think those were going to be like real successful at the time, right?
Yeah, he was coming off a show called Rawhide. If you remember that show.
Rawhide.
Rolling.
Rawhide.
And he was actually sick of doing westerns at the time because he was like been doing it for 7 years, and he got an offer to do this spaghetti western. It was like in Italy. He was like, I don't know, what should I do? He's like, I want to go to Italy. Never been there. Okay, pretty good. He goes out there and he works with Sergio Leone, and crazy story. He comes back. Actually, I think he might have done all 3, or he came back and did 1. And he came back, and people started talking about this movie. But it was the movie he had known was in Italian. So it was like, por $1, por $2. And so he was like, people were saying, this is a great movie out. It's, Fistful of Dollars, where it was. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I want to go check it out. No one knew. No. He didn't even know.
He didn't know.
He didn't know it was his movie that was catching fire in America. And so he's like, oh, I got to go check this movie. And he realized it's his movie that had caught fire and was overnight sensation. And then, he just kind of I don't know, fell into doing those movies. Did a few of them. And then he did his own. Then he started directing and doing his own westerns. But bringing it back to Unforgiven, what's really, I think, most interesting about that film is that it is it's an amalgamation, or it's the whole history of his westerns, but really looking back as what would it be like to be an older man and having regret, having things he did wrong, looking back. And so it's kind of using the history that he had created and talking about, what it's like to look back at life and, one last ride to do things different for his family. So there's like a lot going into that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it was a much more sober and realistic depiction of like a killer in the West.
Yeah.
William
like
Money.
Being paid.
Yeah.
Probably not that much money, but like, hey, like we need this person dead.
Yeah.
And you're the man to go do it. And it's like.
Also, there was a much more realistic depiction of the way some people react to the idea that they're about to be killed.
Yeah.
Or that they're going to have to kill someone, or they're going to be in a gunfight where they might die. It was a fucking great movie, man. It was almost like he wanted, in my the way I felt to me is like he had all these amazing westerns that he did, but then there was this one is like, you know what? Let me do a real one. Like, let me go back and make this fucking thing where
he sat on that script for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Before he made it. Yeah, he was like, this is amazing. I don't think I'm old enough yet.
Oh.
Wisdom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what else I love? High Plains Drifter.
Yep.
I watch that one every couple of years.
That's a good one.
That's a fucking great one.
I like Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Fucking love that. Love that movie. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. But there's something about High Plains Drifter that's like a ghost movie. And you don't realize it.
It is.
You don't
It's
realize
like there's
it.
a supernatural element to it.
And you're
Yeah.
like, what is happening here? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot about that one.
Fuck. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, your dad made some goddamn classics. And then he also made some comedies. Every Which Way But Loose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a crazy career.
That's one I think they should remake.
With who? How about you?
Maybe.
Would you do it? That'd be weird.
Why not?
Could you imagine, though?
Why not?
Philo
Bring it
Beto.
on.
Yeah.
Big old orangutan.
I don't want to fuck around with orangutans, bro. You just piss it off for the wrong reason. It rips your hand off.
Right?
Stuffs it up your ass.
They're dangerous.
They're so dangerous. Apparently, they are one of the most calm when it comes to the great apes. Like, they're not as prone to violence as like chimps.
Yeah.
Chimps are real prone to violence.
Like Jane Goodall, I think in her book, said that she was pretty much raped by a monkey at one point when she was
just a monkey.
I don't know if it was a chimp or whatever. I mean, she knew it was happening. I think she just kind of like let it happen.
Right.
Because she was like, this is dangerous if I try to resist.
Oh my God, yeah.
So she was
way
just like, I
dangerous.
got to just let him finish and then,
Woof. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
You imagine getting fucked by a chimp? Like, you're like, okay, don't bite my fingers off.
Yeah.
Okay, don't eat my eyes. Yeah.
Wild.
Well, the things that they do to people when they get angry at people are just fucking horrendous. But I wonder if it's different in captivity versus in the wild, because all the horrific attacks that have happened with people and chimps, the vast majority that I've ever read about have been like people that had pet chimps and
They end up killing the human?
they killed someone or fucked them up or ripped their face off and bite their fingers off. They bite fingers off.
Jeez.
They rip your dick off. That's another thing they like to do.
Really?
Yeah, they do it on purpose. Like they know you want that thing. They pull it off.
Fuck.
They're so strong. I mean, what they can do. If you had to pull a dude's dick off, it'd probably be like a lot of work.
I don't know. I've never tried. Don't think I will.
Nor have I. But I would imagine. I don't plan on it, but I would imagine it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Chimp will pull your dick off the way you crack a beer. That's how they pull a dick off, like easy. Yeah.
That's wild.
They're so fucking strong, and they're mean, and they know like how to do things that they know what makes you human. You know, they know what you want. Like they know you want to see, so they cut your eyes out. They gouge your eyeballs out. Yeah. They bite your nose off. They bite your lips off. They do it on purpose.
No, you see them when you watch them. They're like jerking off, picking their ass. You're like, oh, that's us.
It's weird that they're this like intermediate step between Homo sapiens. That it's like, once upon a time we shared a common ancestor, and there's traits that they have. Like, they'll gang up on other chimps. They'll go to war.
Yeah.
They have territories, clearly marked territories, and they'll go across the enemy lines and grab one of the enemies and kill them. And they plan it out.
Or like when they learn the value of money.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen that?
I had a bit about it. Yeah, I had a bit about it, how they taught chimps money. They taught chimps that if they had a certain amount of money, like if they did certain things, they would give them money. Like they solved problems, they'd give them money. And if they turned that money in, they would give them fruit.
Yeah.
So the first thing they did was the female chimps, they would give the money to the female chimps, and then they would fuck them. Prostitution was the first thing that they did.
No.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
What?
The females start stacking up coins. And the male chimp like, and yeah, that's the first thing that happened.
First thing, before food, before dessert.
Fuck the food. We're here to party. They gave the money to the female chimps, and they fucked them.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were like, whoa. Yeah.
That's some crazy shit. I mean, well,
they organized prostitution.
I mean, it's the oldest business.
I mean, it really is. Like they say, it's the crazy thing is here we are in 2021 and it's still illegal. And there's some real discussion right now about why is it illegal for you to be a prostitute when it's legal. First of all, it's legal to be a gold digger, which is essentially a prostitute, right?
Yeah.
If you see some like fucking 85-year-old billionaire, it's like, and he's with this super hot chick. Like, you know what's going on there, right? She's a gold digger.
Yeah.
I'm not hating the player. I'm not even hating the game, right? That is what it is. I'm fine with that. I have zero problem with gold diggers. But why is it illegal to be a prostitute? Why is it okay to be promiscuous? Like a woman could have sex with as many men as she wants. A woman could decide that she's going to like just find random people and ask them, do you want to have sex? And they go, sure. And then she has sex with them, that's fine. But if she says, do you want to have sex? And the guy goes, yeah. She goes, well, I need like a couple $100. What do you think? And now that's a problem. Now we have a crime. Like, it's weird.
That's weird.
Why is it okay to rub people's feet? but it's not okay to jerk someone off. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? What is that? Like, it's okay to give someone a neck massage, but it's not okay to rub somebody's balls. It's weird. Like,
Or
genitals
like
are off limits. Like, you can't.
Or like these people who are doing porn, putting up their
Right.
own thing on OnlyFans.
That's legal.
It's like, that's totally your prerogative. You want to take a naked picture of yourself and charge people for it?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Porn is legal, right? And you're having sex with people that maybe you probably wouldn't have sex with if it wasn't for the fact you're getting paid to do it, but you're an entertainer, so there's a loophole. It's more of people telling other people what they can and can't do, and it's more
Shoulding.
Yeah, it's based on exactly what
Don't
you were
be
just talking
shoulding
about.
people.
Yeah, you're shoulding people.
It's like, you do you.
You shouldn't do that.
You just do you. You know, I mean, look, there has to be rules and laws. That's where it gets the gray area becomes. It's like, well, okay, but you can't just go around like knifing people and like
Right.
hurting people.
Right. There has to be rules and laws, but I think part of the problem that many people have with when it comes to prostitution is that if you keep it illegal, what you're empowering is organized crime. You know, it's the same thing, the same argument for keeping drugs and all these. You're empowering sex trafficking. You're empowering all these things if you keep it illegal, because then you're going to have people that are going to sell it, and oftentimes it's not the people that are actually doing the sex act that are getting the money. It's
Sure.
the people that are controlling the people that are doing the sex act.
There's a pimp,
Yeah.
middleman,
Exactly. Middleman.
middleman.
And I think New York City just made it decriminalized.
Really?
Yeah.
What's
trying to
going
bring
on-
back business.
What's going on with Oregon? What's the rules up there? Because I hear all this stuff, and I don't know. I haven't really read and done a lot of the. I just seen like all drugs are legal in Oregon. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
I think everything is decriminalized in Oregon. Everything.
Really?
Yeah. Acid, steroids, everything. You can essentially do whatever you want. Mushrooms. But also the law is decriminalized. Like, it's like fucking Antifa's trying to burn down the State House building every night. And I mean, the fucking mayor of Portland, who's like this super hardcore lefty, is now asking people to turn Antifa into the police. He's asking them to get license plates. He's like he's recognizing that the war is at his shores. Finally, after like more than a year and a half of this shit going down and him being in support of them, him going out and marching with them, he realized like, oh, this is anarchy. This is the end of society. This is a bunch of fucking losers who are trying to burn everything down. Like, we have to stand against this. But they've been directing traffic and pulling people out of cars and beating the shit out of them and lighting things on fire. And it's a weird place, man. Like, what they're trying to do up there is sort of restructure society. They're trying to tear it all down and restructure society in their ideals. But it's, you know, it's more like what we were talking about before about the internet, about finally there's people that can find other people that think the way they think.
Sure.
Because like if that guy was at your job, if you worked at UPS and there was a guy who's like, man, capitalism is bullshit, man. We don't need money. Everyone should be making the exact same amount. You're like, shut the fuck up, Tyler. Just put the packages on the conveyor belt, you asshole. But then Tyler got online and Tyler found
another Tyler.
Yeah, he found Milton and Marvin and Mike, and they all think the same way. And they're like, we're going to get together in town square. We're going to burn it down. And then the mayor's like, I support you. I think you're amazing. And next thing you know, you got chaos. And they don't know how to turn that chaos down, turn it back rather, because now it's become a part of their culture. It's like a part of society. It's like it's happening so often. I mean, how many protests have happened in Seattle or in Portland rather over the last year? Let's find that out. How many air quotes protests have happened in Portland, to the point where the fucking mayor, he is like the most hardcore lefty in America today in terms of mayors, and even he's like, enough, arrest everyone. He was one of these defund the police guys, and you know, and now he's like recognizing like, oh my God, like we have to stop this. They tried to burn down the fucking apartment building where he was. They were burning the lobby of the apartment building where he lived. He had to leave. He had to move out of the apartment building. Yeah.
Yeah, I was paying attention to Gordon Ryan's Instagram, and he said something kind of cool the other day. I was like, he says, hey, instead of complaining about not being successful, why don't you just try to get good at something you want to do, and then hopefully you'll be successful.
Yeah. Well, you're
was like,
talking
"Ah."
about a guy who works 7 days a week,
Yeah.
takes no days off. At 25 years old, he's the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter of all time.
Yep.
Through nothing but hard work and intelligence and discipline.
Yeah.
And great coaching.
But that's
Yeah.
what it, I mean, look, he's obviously the pinnacle, but that is what it takes, as you know,
In
to
everything.
be great at something,
And everything.
in anything.
Everything.
You have to be
Yeah.
all in, I don't care, work another job, and in my off time, go work my ass off at this one thing I want to do to be good at something.
You have to be obsessed. You don't become Jimi Hendrix unless you are obsessed with playing guitar. You don't just become Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Like Jimi Hendrix practiced constantly. He was obsessed with the guitar. You don't become anyone who's great at anything without a massive amount of dedication and focus to whatever that thing is. The problem is a lot of people see people that are very successful and they equate their success with somehow or another someone else getting fucked over.
Yeah, that's weird. It's like no, it's so hard. It's so hard. People think it's just like gifted to some people. It's like,
Yeah.
what? No, it's like, you know how hard that person had to work? Like you're talking about Gordon Ryan. In the gym every day, probably 8 hours a day, whether it's
7 days a week.
conditioning,
Yeah.
all the things he's doing, and then going home probably dreaming about it, thinking about it. It's like, no, that just doesn't happen.
The thing is, they're right about it in some ways. Like some people are successful because they've fucked other people over. That is a thing.
Sure.
There are some businesses where they're taking advantage of poor people, or they're taking advantage of people that are disenfranchised or don't have any power, and they're using their power to dominate these people and extract wealth from them. That's real. That is real in some but that needs to be addressed in a different way. You can't just have this blanket approach to anyone that's successful.
Yeah.
You know, this whole eat the rich thing. Okay, what are you gonna eat? You gonna eat Paul Simon? You know,
Does he taste
what are you
good?
gonna-
I don't know.
What are you gonna do? You gonna eat Ringo Starr? What are you gonna do? Like, come on, it's crazy. You can't just say eat the rich like across the board. That's
But
a
that's
silly
gotta
way
be
of looking at
that's
it.
got to be the small voices. That's like a
But it's just a mantra that you say when you're poor and young and idealistic. Like you,
Sure.
you believe in Marxism and communism, and you believe in socialism, and we're gonna pool our wealth together, and we need, income inequality is the number one problem in this world. Well, you know what else is the number one problem? Effort inequality. There's a vast disparity in effort. And and I'm not saying you should be Gordon Ryan, right? Because the only person who should be Gordon Ryan is Gordon Ryan. He's the guy that decided he wants to do that. Like, what if you didn't want to do that? What if you're like a guy who's like a chill guy who likes riding your skateboard? You're like, fuck, I got to train again? I trained yesterday. Like, no, if you want to, you got to train jiu-jitsu every day. Like, I don't want to train jiu-jitsu every day. Well, he does. And he reaps the rewards and the benefits of that. But you don't have to do that. If you want to live a modest life and you just like to go fishing and just like to spend time with your friends, like that's fine too. But the reality of, and again, we're not talking about bankers fucking people over. We're not talking about special interest groups dominating markets and doing fucked up things with politics. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about individual people that are successful in various endeavors. Effort inequality is the reason that most of these people get through and become massively successful. It's not just that there's some sort of unfair shenanigans going on.
It's also the reason for competition too, which drives everyone to be better, or in any field to excel, to evolve, right? Like medicine, for instance, you got to have competition to find out the best thing, the best treatment for cancer, the best, whatever it is. If you don't have competition, then it's like, well, everyone makes the same amount of money. No one's really going to try that hard.
Well, ideally, it would be great if everybody thought idealistically, and the only reason why they did that is because they want to help people. But the reality is, my friends from Canada come down to America when they want to get surgery.
There it is.
Sorry. Not that there's not amazing surgeons in Canada. I'm sure there are, but I think there might be more here. I'm not
gonna
against
point any fingers, but
I'm not against Medicare, and I'm for universal health care. I'm for a lot of those things. I don't want anybody to be sick. I don't want anybody to not get medical treatment because they're poor. I don't want to live in a world like that. I want to live in a world where I pay more taxes so that people get medical care. I'm fine with that. I like that. But I also realize that you have to have competition with human nature. People, they need incentives, and one of the big incentives for people is finances. It's whether it's right or wrong. It's just a part of being a person. People are incentivized by finances. They're incentivized by wealth. They're incentivized by they want to. I mean, even if they don't want to be rich, they want to do better. And one of the ways that they get to do better is to work harder. And if you just say that you got to work harder for the state, they're not going to work harder. You're not going to get innovation. You're just not going to get that. You don't get that in these countries where they're controlled by dictators. You know, it's a different kind of innovation. They don't have the same incentives, and that's just part of the human experiment. You know, this place right here is the fucking best place in the world for that, and that's a fact. It's one of the most beautiful things about America is that you really can come from the bottom and figure out a way through this wild maze, and everybody's got their own path. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's definitely going to work out for you, because fortune plays a big factor in how well people do and don't do in life. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people that were very unfortunate that are now incredibly successful. And that's through this wild path of freedom that we have here.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that crazy hard work, discipline, and it's a matrix, like you said. There's no one size fits all. So you could go this way, you could get on the plane and end up in this state and then have to figure it out from there, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and it's not fair. Life isn't fair. It's not fair in any way. It's not, and some people want to change things to make things more fair. And I completely understand that thought process. I really do. I get they're just being compassionate. They want people to do better. I think we need social parachutes or social nets that catch people and help people when things go badly, so that they don't wind up in abject poverty, and they don't wind up without health care, and they don't wind up, starving to death. But I think other than that, we need to encourage competition and discipline, because there's a great feeling that you get when you accomplish something that's difficult to do. And there's a lot of people that go through life and they don't experience that. They don't experience that great feeling of overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds and becoming the best version of you that you can be.
Yeah, adversity is a good thing. Adversity challenges people, makes people grow. And the lack of adversity, if you don't have any adversity, I think that's where, like, my mom used to always say, she's like, idle time is the devil's workshop.
Yeah.
You're just sitting around, and if you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing, and then you just, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to get high. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to maybe, go fuck around, instead of trying to mold yourself into maybe that thing that you want.
Yeah.
You want.
I think part of the problem is we associate work, in air quotes, work, with doing things you don't want to do, right? Like, work is schoolwork, where you're studying something you don't give a fuck about, or work is a job that they don't respect you, they don't care about you, you're just a cog in the wheel, you just have to show up every day. We think of that as work.
Yeah.
But that's the worst kind of work. There's other work that can make you feel satisfied. That's like when you do a great film and you're done with that and you get to sit in the theater and watch it with a bunch of people, and you know those long hours on the sets, and you know the practice and rehearsals and all the shit, and then you're like, here it is.
Yeah.
It's a fucking movie. Like, I'm in a goddamn movie. Look at that. That's me.
Yeah.
It's a wild. It's got to be a wild feeling of accomplishment.
It's the way I can equate it is like it's starting almost. It's almost like starting a business every time you're going out to do a film, and then when it ends, it's over, and you release it into the earth, the wild, right? You start this thing. It's really just an idea, and you think about it, and it's happening. It's on paper. Then you travel to a foreign country. You start rehearsals. You start fittings. You start the creative process of, what am I going to wear, and how the thing, how's this character going to be, and what am I going to do? And then all these people come together and do all that in, concert for months at a time. Sometimes 6 months. It's crazy. and then you leave, come back, and there's a whole other process of editing and sound and all these creatives coming together to do this thing, and then it just goes out into the ether.
Was Wrath of Man the first time you played a real bad guy?
I played one before, but that was I would say this was probably this was
a real
probably,
psychopath. It's weird because you're such a nice guy, and I'm watching you in that movie, and I'm like, whoa.
I know my friends the other day said like, you did that oddly well. I said, I don't know what that says about me.
Have you ever done a movie where it was over, it sucked, and you're like, ugh, I gotta not read reviews and get the fuck away from this one?
Oh yeah, that, and it's like sometimes you can have an incredible experience doing something, like when you're hanging out with your friends or whatever, but the end product might not be that great.
Yeah.
Or on the contrary, sometimes you can have a terrible experience. Like everybody on the set, there's not a negative energy. There's some actor who's a jackass who thinks he's, God's gift to earth, and you're just having it's a tough time. It's a whole deal, but the movie turns out great. You're like, shit. What do I do with this information?
That's got to be weird, right? Like the dance of egos on sets.
Man, I just try to just put my head down and go to work every day. If you have that view that no one's more important than anyone else on set, the guy who is the janitor, everyone's doing a job.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If you start getting that pride and ego thing going, it's like that's the death of it all, man.
It really is, and it's so easy to cultivate, right? Because people treat you like you're different.
They do. I try to always have people like, no. I got my own thing. I appreciate it, and sometimes that's their job, so they're there to bring you a sandwich because you have to stay in this place, and you're rehearsing with the camera crew, and you're doing the whole thing, but. It's like, nah, just as much as you can strip all that shit down and go, we're just doing this creative process all together. Everyone's doing a job here. No one's more important than anyone.
Yeah, if you don't have one of those pieces, it doesn't work out right. It's like if you don't have salt, the meat doesn't taste as good. But the meat the most important thing? Well, it's not as good without the salt. You need butter, bitch. Like, where's the butter? Where's the this? Where's that? You got to have all the ingredients. And I would imagine, I've only done a couple of movies, but the dynamic on movies is everyone's paying attention to the stars. Like, the stars are the main focus because that's where the camera's on. So you're really grounded and you're really down to earth, which is super unusual for actors. And I always make fun of actors, but it's not all of them. Like, you're like like if people didn't know you and they didn't know you're a movie star, they were like, oh, your friend Scott's really nice. They would just think you're a normal guy. Yeah. And then I'd be like, hey, yeah, I want to go see him in a movie. They'd be like, what the fuck? Like, he's a movie star? Like, they would never believe it. And I know you're here, so it's weird to tell you this, but some people you can fucking tell. They wear sunglasses inside. They're real odd. They want that attention. It's like they want to be special
all the time.
It's
I don't know.
Exhausting.
I never liked LA. Maybe because I grew up the way I grew up. My dad was so not the kind of guy who did the LA thing at all. He was like, this is a job, and like, you're lucky if you get a job, son. Literally lucky. You're like, you better treat that with the utmost respect. People are out there starving. He grew up in an era where there's a story that has stuck with me forever. And it was when he was about 12 years old, and it was in the middle of World War II, 1942, and his mother, my grandmother, Ruth, who's now passed away, they were very poor. And they were living in Oakland, I believe, and someone had come knocked on their back door, and my grandmother was freaked out because it was someone they didn't know, and he said, "Hey, I'm here to. Can I do anything for work? For you?" And she's like, "No, we don't have any money. Like, we don't have any money." And my dad was there. He was watching. He was a 12-year-old kid, and he said, I don't need any money. I'll do anything for a sandwich. And the desperation in his eyes and just like totally vulnerable. My dad said he never forgot that. Ever, ever, ever. It burned a hole in his ethos. And he's like, dude, you're so lucky if you get a job, and you better hold that job, and you better be the best at it, and you better be nice to people, and you better do all these things because it could go away like that. And I don't know, so that maybe that's like how he imprinted me. That's like that's how lucky you are.
Yeah, and we're all lucky. We're lucky as fuck. If you're hearing this, you're lucky. If you're alive, you're lucky. You know, if you're healthy, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. It's 4:30, dude. We've been doing this for like 3.5 hours.
I love it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's been fun.
Scott Eastwood, you're a bad motherfucker.
You too,
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man. Same.
Goodbye, everybody.